This is going to be season 2, episode 1. Do you know I said episode 1, season 2? Should be clearing off. Also, have you seen the summer split of LEC? No. Well, then probably a pretty easy guess. This is like, see, should this actually be called season 2? Do you think? How would you normally do the season? Should it be based on splits of the whole year? What would you do?
I normally do seasons for just the whole year, but I mean, doing it by splits probably makes more sense.
Like for our show, it makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, fuck it, bro. Let's just do
all right.
episode 1, season 2.
There you go.
I'm down with
there
it.
You go. Okay. Obviously, people might wonder, would I bring a guest for this one? I actually think, as a general rule, I actually think people are interested sometimes know like some break the fourth wall stuff. I personally think when you have a show like we have, where it's largely centered around me and Dom's opinions about LEC and updating it weekly, it usually makes most sense to start the split with the two of us so we get the baseline of where we're at and then bring in guests later. So don't worry, there'll still be guests on them, but as we did on the first season, we'll do it sparingly. We'll keep it for banger guests in the right time. We won't just spam people every week. Because actually, I also noticed doing that show, the first season of it, so I'm saying that like it's years ago. It's only fucking 2 months ago somewhere. But doing the season 1 of the show, I also did notice as well, like, people have gone too ham with the addiction of trying to get big name guests. Because if you're a fan, when you get a guest, you just get the sense, if you're the creator, like, oh, it might get more views or someone just watch up for you. But actually, sometimes having a guest does actually get in the way of the convo, I noticed. Like, a lot of guests aren't that great at talking, let's be real. Unless you get them on their specialist topic or their team or their thing. A lot of people actually aren't that great on these shows, mate. I think some of them are mad over it, even some big names, you know.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, you just got to get the right ones. I mean, there's a few that can talk for sure. I mean,
sure.
Like a Perks will always do well on a talk show, pretty much regardless of the topic. I mean, he's just built for that type of conversation. But I mean, if you just like, for example, if you're an LCK and you just got Faker on a talk show, I don't think that that's going to carry the conversation.
Oh.
You need a showmaker type vibe on a talk. Somebody who's willing to like, you know, go out there, like talk a little bit of shit, like play to some like, you know, humor and stuff like that. You don't want like a super robotic guest in general.
Sure. Right, so let's get into it. Luckily, the premise we actually came up with for this one is we're not just going to do it like a generic, like, here are the off-season moves, here's what we think. The way we're going to structure it is, Dom already did a video where he did a tier list for all the teams in the split. I also, on some other content, did basically like a power ranking, like 1 to 10. And so we're going to just use that as a way to like spur the discussion. So essentially, I already know in advance like where me and Dom disagree on some sense, and we can get into the weeds of that. And then also, there are the roster moves, and we can talk about how those affected each of the teams, etc. So I thought what would be fun is this, right? Everyone's going to expect us to just do it in order or whatever. I think we just do like we just jump all over the place. So I actually thought a place we could start with is, let's start with the big dogs, because I want to get your take on this, right? I've only seen a bit. I didn't see your whole video. I saw like where you had the basic teams and the basic concept, right? This is the premise of where I want to start, because I actually think this in itself is a mega underrated spicy topic. And it just goes like this. How good is G2, Dom? Because the problem goes, in my opinion, most people, actually, it seems like LEC fans are sort of trying to memory hole MSI. And they're just sort of like, G2 was who they were at the end of the spring split. They were the best team. They 3-0'd everyone. They did, that's true. They got all their rivals out of the way and they won the split. So essentially, based on a normal fan perspective, I get the sense they should have G2 number 1. That should automatically be where they start the split. Whereas, spoiler, I don't have them number 1. In fact, I think people might think I'm being edgy-matic. So where do you have G2 at? Where's the reigning champions of LEC coming into the split?
I have them second. So I still think that they'll do well, but I mean, this is also a consistent theme. Like, they're going to start the split most likely poorly. I would guess that they start the split absolutely like shit, because anytime you go to MSI, like, you come back, you can tell from Yanko's streams that, like, and from what he said, like, they took a break, right? So like, other teams are, you know, they take their break as soon as they're eliminated, and then they start scrimming. So they're like scrimming for like at least like 3 weeks, a month, something like that. Coming into the split, they're going to hit the ground running. Whereas like, and then obviously there's a huge patch, durability patch, which obviously takes time to grind on and actually acclimate to the differences of the game. And G2 is just going to come in with a lower amount of scrim. So I don't think that they'll lose to any like super, super terrible teams, but I would be very surprised if they came in at a higher level than like Rogue, Vitality, Fnatic, Mad Lions. Like, I think that those teams will start better and then G2 will catch up over time. But yeah, I expect like G2 to be the second best team. That's where I have them in my tier list. I have them second. And yeah, I mean, I guess people are going to instantly wonder, who do you have first then if G2 is second? And for me, I still think that Fnatic is the favorite to win. I mean, when you look at the roster pound for pound, I mean, you have to think about this. Fnatic lost the split, and it was considered like a huge fucking blow up that they absolutely just combusted and were just shit inexplicably for the last 6 games that they played, where they just went 0-6. Think about how bad Humanoid and Hillsong had to play for that to occur. It wasn't just like Fnatic just played the way they played and G2 just, beat them and everyone looked like themselves. It's like, no, Humanoid and Hillsong probably had their 6 worst games of the split, and obviously people are going to go, but that's because G2 and Rogue played against them a certain way. You cannot tell me that those ganks that Humanoid is dying to every single game, or what Hilly's doing in lane, is just 100% forced by the enemy team. Like, they had weird drafts, number one. They went to the TF a million times in a fucking row, where it was just like, okay, how many times are we going to play TF until we realize that, like, it's just not working on stage? It was that, but then also just some really bad laning. And when Humanoid is on form, if Humanoid plays well, he has shown that he could even potentially be better than Caps. I think an on-form Caps beats an on-form Humanoid if they're both like playing at their absolute peaks. But if Caps is not 100% and Humanoid's like let's say they're both 90% or they're both playing like at that level, I would take Humanoid every single time. I think that Humanoid has been one of the best. I think he's been the best mid over the last year and a half in LEC by far. Like, I don't even think it's been close between him and the second guy. So to me, when I look at Fnatic, I actually just think that they have the pieces. The person that I was worried about the most going into playoffs was Razork. And from my perspective, I think he performed well. Like, obviously, he's behind in a lot of the games, but you can't be ahead as a jungler when your laners are just inting the enemy jungler constantly. Like, if the enemy jungler could just go camp, kill, camp, kill, like, that's his fucking path. How do you ever compete with that? And he was making plays, and he was making good plays, too. He was, like, executing good dives. There was good timings that Razork was hitting. He just... like, you can't compete with the enemy jungler just getting fucking power fed by your lanes. So, in my opinion, I still think Fnatic should be the best team. I think they're the strongest roster pound for pound. And I think that a lot of this is going to be determined on meta. Now, I think that the meta was really good for G2 at the end. Ari coming in was a huge pick for Caps. Super good on those types of champions. But let's say we end up in a meta that's control mage meta. That's been Humanoid shit. Like, for the last year and a half, like, his Victor, his Orianna, like... He wasn't inting on those picks. I know people will see him now and they'll be like, oh, but he just randomly ints in lane. That shouldn't be good with mage. But that wasn't his standard. He was better than that consistently. So I think it was a one-off where Humanoid and Hillsong were playing that bad. I don't think they need to do anything crazy. I don't think they need to go into God mode in order to win the split. I just think they have to play like themselves. If they're top players in their role, I think that Fnatic has the pieces to win.
Right, let's go team by team then. So we'll just rewind to G2 a second, right? There's actually a topic that I'm going to bring up with you, but I'm going to set up my point and then we'll pivot into it. So it goes like this. The reason why I don't even have G2 top 2, spoiler, I have Fnatic and Rogue top 2, and I'll get to who I have as my number 1 in a second. But basically, the reason why I actually have G2 third, by the way, similar to where I probably would have had them overall in playoffs LEC last split, except that obviously before Caps popped off, I thought maybe Vitality could edge them if they played them, right? The reason why I sort of have demoted them back to that status is because I think one thing you can't do in esports, but people do it all the time, is they act like form carries over directly between each match and each tournament and each month. I don't think it works that way. Like, form's way more up and down to me because it's to do with so many different factors in the game. It's to do with the meta, which teammates you have, how your teammates play, how you coached. There's a million psychological factors. So one problem I have, right, is people will take like, this guy played like this and they'll make it that he's going to do it again. Like, in the same way as in a second, I'll be generous with that principle. You can't apply that to Caps. Like, the Caps that monster stomped the playoffs of LEC, that was months ago, and that was a different meta and a different guy. Like, I don't know if he's going to do the same thing this time around. In fact, I even thought at MSI, something I found a bit disturbing, Dom, is all the games where they didn't play around him and give him the carry picks, it looked shit again. Not him individually, but the team looked shit. Like, they just looked super whack. They couldn't beat RNG and T1 in these matches. Like, those squads just looked way better. So my problem is this. I think the Caps factor boosted them a bit. Already, I don't know how much that'll be equivalent, because here's the thing, to contrast to what you just said, I expect the upcoming meta, and especially the tenacity stuff, I think that will actually make players like Humanoid and Larson more impactful. I think it makes someone like Caps less. I'm sorry, it just does. Like, his style and what he's at the best at the moment at is, if you give him a champion that does insane like burst damage or like physical damage, he's a fucking monster. Those aren't going to be the champions, as far as I can tell. That'll be the most meta dominant champions. So the problem is, if you take the Caps factor off the table, like, he can't do what he did in spring and just win every series for you. Suddenly, I think they have issues with their laners, dude, because one, I'll just throw this out there. I know everyone gets so upset. You know, when people got mega upset on Twitter that before the split, H2K Rich said that there was like 20 ERL ADCs he'd take over Flaccid. I'll go one further if you fans want the truth. Flackhead isn't even a top 100 ADC in the world, assuming I can take LPL and LCK level players that don't play in LPL and LCK. This guy's not even relevant as a world-class player. Why are we playing this silly game where we take someone who, as far as I can tell, Dom, I actually think this guy gets League of Legends. I think he gets that he's not supposed to be the carrier of this team. He gets that he's sort of a supportive ADC. He's like Kobe Light. He's just playing for the late game when he has a chance in his champions come online and do some damage. He plays with a wicked fucking support. So, to me, he can't be your primary carry. You're not going to win the split through Flackhead. So there's one name left, and this is where I want to pivot and ask you something. Because I tell you what, Dom, I know he's your boy, and he has had actually generally a pretty underrated career, but I thought Broken Blade was fucking garbage at MSI, mate. Like, as soon as they banned on, he had a really bad time. And the problem with this is this, Dom. I thought this was a tournament where he could have fucking dominated. There was a lot of whack. Like, that bin guy is garbage, mate. I don't get that. Was years ago he was good on tuning. The guy is fucking trash. Like, I thought he was going to style on these guys. I thought he even might have had a chance against Zeus, mate. He was really underwhelming me at MSI. So I'm a bit concerned. And, like I said, I'll be generous. I'm not going to take it that his form's identical to MSI. It's a different tournament, obviously. But that concerned me a bit because, like, in the spring, they had to play through him a lot to be as good as they were, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in general, the meta was just not good for BB, and I think that BB needed to commit more into being the player that he is, and not just try to like adapt to what the meta of MSI was. When I think about when he was the most successful in LEC this split, when he looked the absolute best, this is when he was playing Akshan top. No one else was playing Akshan top.
Yes,
and like Tryndamere, even when people were like still on the edge about like, oh, is Tryndamere good? Is it not? Like, he would just pick it and counterpick everyone. I wanted to see that type of BB where he plays the champions that he's good at, and he doesn't force himself like to be the 4th best Gwen in the tournament or like the 5th best GP in a tournament. Like, those are just not his champions. Like, he can play it like every now and then. I just don't want that to be the core of his champion pool where like, if GP is up, he's taking it versus Gwen. Like, I don't want that to be the counter. Like, there's a lot of things that counter Gwen, and I think that one of the interesting parts about BB, the best part about his play to me, is that he can actually play everything. Like, he might not be able to play meta champions at a super high level, but he can play the counters to meta champions at a super high level. Like, he'll always have a couple picks. Like, it's not that he can play every champion in the game. It's just that he can play a few champions in the game into everything.
Were you a bit underwhelmed then that he had problems? Like, obviously he didn't himself play the Gwen, and then he didn't really have the counters. Did you have issues with that one specifically? It's a bit of a specific case, obviously, you know.
I had issues with it, but I think I had more like issues with the team because it felt like they just weren't willing to, you know, really be themselves in those games. Like, I mean, they gave him like the Riven counter pick once, which didn't look good. And I think that they kind of just like lost faith in like the picking crazy counters into the meta top laners of that tournament. So I had issues with that. I think it was more like just their team in general. I mean, no one really looked good once they started losing. As soon as they started dropping games, like what, they literally lost to everyone, including like the fucking Buffalo and like all these
everyone,
teams. PCS twice. They lost to PSG 2 times. Then they got 3-0'd hard as fuck by T1. Didn't look competitive in any of the games. His Scion game I actually thought was good. That was like the only game that they almost won, was when he had like that nice Scion prediction on like Faker's distortion over the wall. But just in general, I just feel like they really lost confidence in their play. But yeah, I mean, to me, I think that he didn't have a good tournament. But I think overall, like, I don't really worry about him being able to figure it out. Like, even if he has periods where he's not playing at the highest level possible, I feel like BB is the type of player that will always just figure out how to be useful and end up overperforming. So to me, I think that he's just proven like his ability to learn and adapt over the courses of metas. And I think especially for tournaments like LEC, I think he'll be fine because MSI is very specific. Like, when you think about it, you're really just playing one patch for a month. Like, you almost never do that outside of playoffs. Like, and in terms of like LEC, you're going to be playing within the context of only other LEC teams. So if something comes up that's OP, like, everyone will generally pick it up at the same time. It's not the style clash that you get when you go into Worlds or MSI, where teams have completely different reads on metas generally. And you go to MSI and you might have your ideas of how a champion matchup is supposed to play. And then once you start getting exposed to different ideas, like, oh, well, what happens if the enemy team like picks a prio bot lane and they can roam their support? Or what happens if they're like good at stacking waves and they actually dive with 2 or 3 people on like my champion's weak points? How does the game play out then? And like, are those situations reproducible enough to warrant us completely changing our style? I feel like MSI and Worlds are generally harder for Western teams just because of that. because it feels like they just don't have the time to like adapt. But I think within LEC, I think he'll figure it out and be useful. But about the Flackid point that you made, I think that Flackid, so he's obviously not like a super insane laner, which I don't think anyone expected him to be. I mean, this is the problem whenever somebody does well and they're also popular, is like they become just, it's almost like Adam 2.0, except I think Flackid is actually better than Adam. I think he's more legit than Adam was, but it's like, it's another thing where just because Flackid did well in LEC playoffs and, you know, he had a good understanding of the meta, he played really well with Targamas in late in a few matches, like the idea that he's just better than players like Upset right off the bat, I just like, I can't.
Oh, how can you abide with that opinion? I know exactly. Just doesn't work, does it?
I mean, Upset loses. His support completely runs it down. His mid runs it down. You would think that Upset just chain fed and just solo lost the series. They're like, look, he's playing for KDA. It's like, spoiler, if you're playing an AD carry and your whole team is fucking into, you can't do anything in competitive. Like, you literally just can't do anything. There's no like, oh, well, I'm going to save the game at this point. And like, no, you're fucked. Like, that is just what happens. So to me, I think that that Flackid, honestly, like, he overperformed expectations in spring, clearly. And I think that he's got a couple qualities that I really respect in a player. Like, he looks like he's relatively clutch. He looks like he rises to the occasion.
Yeah, that's true.
Most of the time, which to me is like, I'm like, oh, that's a good point. Also, he doesn't have that dumb AD carry characteristic. Like, he'll play like some like not great games, but he doesn't just randomly fucking run it down when he gets fed. Like, he knows how to stay alive. So I'm actually like pretty happy with his play. I mean, obviously the community is overhyping him, but I think that like his trajectory looks really good. Like, I think he's much better than what I thought he would be, especially considering the people that follow ERLs that I talked to. It seemed like even people that were following Spanish League thought that he would be much worse. In competitive in LEC than he was. So
actually, by the way, the part I find weird about this one, the way I would contrast it with the Adam one is, at least on the Adam one, there actually were some people I respected were trying to tell me he was really good, which I never really bought, but fair enough, different perspective. It's like what you say about the Flackhead one. As far as I can tell, Flackhead is actually being unfairly scrutinized because of stupid fans, either from his country or of his team. Like, if it wasn't for those fans, if you remove the fans of Flackhead, generally, there aren't loads of people who are pros and coaches like, this guy's secretly actually fucking amazing. Like, they're all just like we are. They're like, actually, you know what, fair play. He's actually a bit better than I thought. Didn't know if he was G2 material, but he's sort of fitting the team well. Like, what the problem is, this is where fans are what ruin the bloody game. If the fans weren't there, we'd only be giving this guy praise. Like, by the way, the fact that I don't say he should be cut from the team should tell you something, fans. Like, notice I don't say boot him and get like another, like, get any of my mates at ADC and ARL. Like, I'll give him another split. He deserves a split. Like I said, the thing I like is, like, he knows which way his bread's buttered, mate. He isn't trying to pretend he's the super character. He's not like Jackie Love on IG, where he thought that, like, what do you mean this is a solo lane team? Like, I'm the carry of this team, right, bro? It's like, you've got the shy and oozy, mate. Like, you are never the carry. You have to understand that, Jackie Love. This guy gets that. That's what you're saying there about how he's like, if he has the resources, he's super responsible with it. That's good. I like that. I don't want people like Kazi just fucking into away the shit when we give him, like, we played for his lane, gave him his champ. That happens. I hate that dude. That's a good contrast, even. If you give me the choice between those two players, I need to build a very special type of built team around Kazi. I can just slot Flackhead in as my tertiary carry. I bet you work in most teams. It looks pretty good. Here's the question, though, because I'll pivot it to my number one team. My number one team is also Fnatic, right? I can talk about Rogue in a second. The basic reason for Fnatic, it's like you said, I actually get one angle, which we can do a sidebar in a minute. I'm shocked that Razork is still in the team, because if you saw all the messaging and the way people were talking, even in Fnatic tweets, it looked like there was going to be some kind of roster moves or something was going to happen. And that was the one, if people remember, there was loads of stories. Maybe they get LDO. Like, the idea was they were just going to pick from the other teams in the LEC, right? Not only has that not happened, but I don't actually think it's that terrible. It hasn't. Even though I don't think Razork, here's the problem I have with him as a player, dude. It's kind of like you say, I don't ever think he was fundamentally a bad jungler. I still believe in him as a player. Like, for example, if he had left this team, I think he could have made mad impact if he'd gone to some of the other squads in the league. I think if he went to like a fucking another playoff team, he could be really good if they have the right squad. The problem like, if he went back to Misfits, for example, they'd be fucking banging. What are you talking about? The problem I have is I do still think they never figured out how to get him to work with some of his players in his game. I mean, Humanoid's the obvious one because he was in, like you say, in all the fucking playoff games. But I also got the vibe that, like, considering he's playing with Hillsang, I don't really know if they ever had the same identity or they're on the same page. And you want that jungle support duo, ideally, to exist, you know? But, like you said, that's all the knocks against them. And as you said, they still, remember, they almost beat Rogue. Even when they played G2, they had one game that was pretty fucking close. Like, if this is them getting ultra stomped, and all it takes, like you say, is two of their absolute best players, MVP candidates, to play some of the... Like, the joke is, if this was solo queue, you would report them for running it down. Like, some of those Hylissang fucking roams and just straight up deaths from Humanoid and ganks that he got done by. Those are, like, reportable shit in solo queue, mate. If you do that 8 times, I don't care if you think you're a pro player. I'd fucking report your ass and you feeding. You're not even trying to fucking win the game. So I agree. Razork was just on an island, mate. There's nothing you can do with that. And also, I also spin it the same way. There's no way that's going to happen with both those players continuously for 2.5 series. Like, they could even, one of them could have done it, dude, and they could have won those series. That's how crazy good this team is. So I think this roster on paper is still the best roster in LEC. It's fucking amazing. There's even a world where, who knows, maybe bloody Wonder has a Renaissance split and suddenly goes way better or something. Who the fuck knows? Like, I think the problem with this team is they haven't fixed the problems, but it's like, if you were a coach, this is the dream roster to have because there's so many possible ways you could make it work. Like, this could easily be the best team in the West, mate. I think this is a mega lineup. So I just expect they'll do it. And the key thing for me is this. I'll tell you the distinction I make, and maybe this is bleeding into my Rogue point a bit. Rogue clearly hasn't fixed all their problems. They've gotten a little bit better. They've improved. They've made something. The difference is the way Fnatic lost, right? If I'm Humanoid and Hylissang, I'm not mega tilted in the sense of like, oh my God, am I a choke or whatever? It's like, no, I just need to collect myself and go, fuck, my bad, guys. You know what? That was all on me. Maybe I was a bit egotistical, played a bit bad. But you've played loads of series in the rest of your career that weren't like that. You can fix this tomorrow. There's a world where they just come to summer and just dominate and just win the whole fucking split. And I'll tell you who'll look stupidest then, by the way, Dom. All those bloody Fnatic fans in this fucking off-season. That was one of the most disgraceful things I've ever seen. They were given, for real, one of the best off-season rosters I have ever seen built in the LEC. And cause G2, their rival, won the LEC, they acted like G2's roster was better and that they had like no pieces and people were even turning against people like Upset. Like, motherfucker, if you can't handle having Upset as your ADC, I don't think you deserve to be like the fan of a championship team in the LEC. What more do you want? He's probably the best ADC now, even though he lost. Like, I think it's mad.
He's definitely the best. Like, Upset is definitely the best ADC in Europe still.
Yeah,
it's like,
it's mega.
What's crazy is it's not even debatable, like, behind the scenes. Like, when you talk to people,
players, yes, absolutely.
Amongst players, everyone thinks Upset is a fucking monster. Like, if you ask them, who is like, I've had players come to me in this offseason and talk to me and tell me that they think Upset is the best player in LEC. Like,
I know a lot of players even think he was one of the few people who got fucking entered in those series. Like, actually, you didn't have a chance to play the game, basically.
Absolutely. Yep. So the idea that Upset was at all the problem is just, it's just like, yes, you hate him because he fucking didn't play it well. Yes. You hate that his girlfriend was abused in some way and he had to fucking leave because he prioritizes his wife's abuse over a video game. Like, honestly, his bad on that one. But like, let's just be honest about his fucking play. He's a fucking great player.
Mate. Yeah,
he's an absolutely fucking great player. So the idea that he's an issue with this team, no chance I buy it at all. Also, I think that the one thing that could destroy Fnatic is like their own egos and stuff within the team, because it feels like the reason why Razork was on the outs was because there's a conception within the team, probably from scrims or probably from like knowledge coming in. I mean, Razork should just be the worst player on the team, right? Like, look at who he's
He's the least experienced. He's been on shit teams. Yeah, of course.
Wonder, best top in the history of Europe. Like, only person you could even consider up there would be like Soaz or something if you're like, you know, old as fuck like Thorin. Like, but like
he was mega.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you've been watching League from fucking season 2, then maybe you've got Soaz up there. I mean, Humanoid is one of the best mids over the last 2 years, the best mid over the last 2 years. Hylissang, probably the best support in the history of Europe, and then Upset, maybe the best player in the entire league right now. So like, Razork is probably going to be the worst player on this lineup in terms of just his overall read of the game. When they get into reviews and they start discussing the finer points of how situations are gonna play out, he's maybe gonna know the least. But his mechanics are really insane. He's still really good mechanical player. He obviously had some bad mechanical ints that people will point to, be like, oh, look at his Diana like mistake here, like his Diana mistake there. Overall, he's really solid mechanical player, and he played well. He was one of the better performers in those series, regardless of what his scoreline looked like. He was actually playing the early games pretty well, but the games were doomed. And obviously, he had like some ints in like a final team fight. But dude, when you've been getting inted for 6 games in a row as a fucking jungler, like, it's hard to fucking have a good mental for the final like team fights, especially when they're not even like, it's not like he threw games. It's like, maybe we can come back and win. Oh, never mind. I fucking ran it down and then we lost. Those are the situations that Razork underperformed in. So I think that he'll be fine. The only thing that I think could destroy this team is if like they go too hard on him because he doesn't seem like one of those players that's like completely like secure mentally with his spot within the team. Like I feel like he feels a little bit like an imposter in Fnatic. Even if you just see his Twitter, if you just see the way he talks, it seems like he feels like he's the odd man out. It's like, oh man, I'm surrounded by like a bunch of champions, and then like the wonder kid AD carry. Like I don't know, man. Maybe I'm not like good enough. So if his mental isn't there, like then I think that this team could implode again. But I just think in general, like they should have, they just have enough firepower to win the split pretty easily. I mean, if they're playing well for them, even if G2 is playing at max level, like Caps is in God mode, if Humanoid's at least not getting completely shut on, he's not running it down, he's still going to be fucking useful. He's still one of the best team fighting mid laners. Like their AD carry is just straight up better at this point, which doesn't mean the Flock can never be better than Upset. It's just that right now Upset is the best AD carry in Europe. Like it just is what it is. So I mean, they just have a disadvantage there. And then Hylissang is like, this is another player that people were considering the best player in Europe. When the MVP conversations occurred last year, the two people that everyone was talking about was Vedia and Hylissang. Those were the two candidates for MVP. And the argument for Vedia winning was never that he was a better overall player than Hylissang. It was that he was the most valuable player to his team, that he had to do more. This was the whole narrative. And it was almost consensus that during the split, Hylissang was the best player in LEC. But it's just he's not the most valuable to his team because he doesn't have to do as much because he's surrounded by so much great talent. That was the argument for Vedia winning.
He plays support, unfortunately, so it's just never going to be considered the star role, is it?
Yeah, sure. So for me, I look at it, I'm completely fine with Fnatic losing as long as they're able to like base themselves and play better the next time. And I don't think that it's the same thing that I feel about Team Liquid, where it's like, just because EG ended up winning, I'm not going to say that they have a better roster than Team Liquid's roster. Like Team Liquid's roster is supposed to be top 4 at Worlds. Like that is, when you build a roster like that, that is the goal. If you don't hit that goal, you probably underperformed compared to what your own expectations should be. I mean, you literally have some of the best Western players in all their world. Best Western AD of last year was Hansama, right? The best, one of the best top laners is Whippo. Then you have the best mid laner in the history, or best player, I would say, in the history of North American LCS, which is Bjergsen. Like, if you just go for accolades, longevity, all that stuff, you've got everything there. Like, you should fucking win. I feel the same way about Fnatic. Like,
yes.
And it's also a spring split, you know, like when you have these super teams, normally it takes them a while to fucking get everything going. And like, they almost need that adversity to really try to base themselves. Because when you have a super team, the biggest issue that you end up having is that because everyone's so good, you think you can do everything. You're like, oh, we can play through bot or top or mid, or we can like play through jungle. It just depends on the game. So we'll just draft what's best in the meta and execute that. Where it's not normally like that. Like, you still are going to have a team with strengths and weaknesses. So you need to be able to figure out what those specific strengths and weaknesses are and actually play towards them. You need that reality check where you're like, you're not going to be just the best team in the world, best at everything. It's very rare. Like, maybe Prime G2 was the only Western team in the history of this game that was able to do something similar to that. And even them, they ended up having a general strategy where it's like, oh, Wonder is like pretty much weak side. Our bot lane like has these really interesting like flex picks with mid. Like, they had their own identity as well after a while. So I'm just waiting to see them, just to see how they respond. But I'm still going to have them first going into the season. Like, I don't think that means that they'll 100% win. I think they're the most likely to end up first in LEC in summer.
Yeah, I have the same vibe. I also think as well, like, the person who will actually take the biggest hit if this Fnatic team does not win a split, go to Worlds, it's actually Yamato Can. It's not any of the players. Because the problem is the players have had success in the rest of their career. With the exception of Razork, everyone, like you say, has been amazing. So I have to say, Yamato Cannon's the guy where this is riding on, in my opinion. Because I do think he has been given a phenomenal roster, especially compared to what he had the previous year of Fnatic. Like, I think to get gifted this roster, like, you've got to make use of it, mate. You've got to give me a trophy, go to Worlds. You've got to do something. Like, this has to eventually deliver on being one of the best rosters. Has to be a minimum. Going to Worlds,
yes. It has to be like, it's not even an accomplishment. If you have this roster and you go to Worlds as like a 3rd seed, it almost feels bad if you go to Worlds as a 3rd seed with this roster. I feel like for me, they have to win. They need a trophy.
Right, what we'll do is we'll stick around the top 3 because we'll do the Rogue angle now, and then we'll skip to a spicier part. So on the Rogue angle, like I said before, right, the only thing I can really hold against the team after the first split, 'cause it wasn't like the past years, is just that they failed the final. That's it. They just flunked the final. They looked they didn't even get going in that match. They looked completely outgamed in the draft, and then they just played and also I'll say people like Trimby played like absolute shit. Like, some of them just played really poorly as well. That also happened, right? The problem I have is this. that only really is a problem for me if they're in another final or they're in a big upper bracket final. It's only then that the psychological component comes in again. So I actually think this is what's a weird angle for some people, maybe. I actually think in the regular split, this team might be even better, dude. Like when I look at some of these meta changes coming in, isn't this the team more suited to fucking benefit from all the tenacity changes and stuff? This team should be fucking amazing at that style. Like, I feel like this is the team, by the way, that can... What I love about this squad is it's traditional League of Legends. Like, if they get the comps that they like, they're just going to do a normal 5v5 team fight, front to back. Like, great, that's what I love to watch. So, I feel like in this meta, they should be fucking loving it, mate. It should be in their wheelhouse.
Yeah, I mean... but that's what I thought during playoffs. I was like, Orin is back. Holy shit, it's the best for them. Like, oh, and then you can kind of pick Sion into Orin. Oh shit, they're gonna just dominate everyone. And then look what happened. You know what? It's funny because like as time goes on, Thorin, I feel like you become more and more senile because I remember just 2 months ago you were like, I am never going to rate Rogue ever again. Like I hate them for eternity.
I didn't put him number one. So
you put him fucking number 2. I'll take him over G2 this time.
Okay. It's all right. It's all good.
That's how I know it's fucking rough. Like,
yeah, it's all good.
I had to put them third. I think that they probably will end up doing better in the regular season than G2. I just have no faith in this team. Like my rankings are for obviously like who I think is going to win, right? Like this is going to be for like at the end of playoffs. This is what I predict the rankings to be. Obviously, the teams that get eliminated before playoffs, I expect them to go out in that order. But yeah, I mean, I just don't have faith in this team getting it together. And then I think that over time, I feel like the Malrong novelty effect wears off, and it's just going to be less and less of like, oh, he's just shitting on everyone. Oh shit, no one knows what he's doing.
You think that sort of runs out, right? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was already running out towards like even the back half of the split in playoffs. I mean, I think if you look at his trajectory, I mean, he did have that like pretty good series into Fnatic once they started winning games. But even that series, I was like, why is he just getting Hecarim all the time? Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, isn't Hecarim just the most OP jungler on this patch? So for me, I'm pretty low on this team. I mean, I think they'll probably get third and go to Worlds, but I wouldn't be surprised if Vitality really looks good. Like if Bo comes in and he's just fucking FPX Bo, I'll take them over Rogue. Like Rogue is the team I'm just, even though I think that they're good, I just don't have confidence in that organization. Like, I don't know why. I know why, but it's just, I can't bring myself to ever be positive about them. It's just, I've been wrong too many times. So, I mean, they're Rogue, right? Like, they'll be good in the regular season. They'll probably get first in the regular season, end up choking in playoffs at some point, and then we'll all just circle back next year as to why Rogue can actually get it together in spring of 2023. Like,
all right, here we go.
This new player.
Here we go. Let's do it. Because the really spicy topic is now. This is where normally people are going to be like, what? Because normally on our shows, what do I always say? Unless it's an important episode, we don't talk about the worst teams because who gives a fuck, right? In the worst teams, I notice I have a completely different take. And by the way this take is legit, not as in like the veracity of it, just the fact that I believe it, is because I fucking hate this org, if you know them in esports. Dom has Astralis, not just the worst, but essentially, without spoiling the content, when he did his tier list, he immediately put them at the beginning in F tier, the only F tier. The tiers, by the way, only go S, A, B, and C, and then it goes to F. He put them the only F, and he literally just said they're last place. They're going to come last place. So give me a quick summary. Like, what's the reason they're the last place team?
I mean, I don't think that they got better at so honestly, I mean, I don't know anything about their new support really. Like maybe their new support is a lot better, but I generally think that this was PromSku's best split, this last one. I think it was actually really like making some things happen. He was pretty useful, and their whole identity, the whole way that they won games was because they were able to like roam PromSku, and they were able to just engage fights with PromSku and Zanzara, and then kind of just take their hands off the wheel and hope they fucking won. And I mean, I don't know if their support's going to be able to do that. I don't know anything about the support. Maybe the support's good. Like, I'm not educated on.
Oh, no, it's a black box. No one knows this guy. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. So for me, when I look at it, Xerxes coming off a really bad split. Like, I watched him every single game of his in NA, in LCS. I just wasn't very impressed. I don't think that he's going to be better. I mean, I think jungle talent in Europe is actually pretty fucking good. So, like, when you think about the person that, like, even the 9th place jungler I'm having, like, Synchro of, I mean, maybe Xerxes could be better than Gilius if Gilius goes, like, because Gilius has 2 modes, right? Gilius is either, like, the worst fucking player or he's, like, pretty good. He's, like, he never is just okay. He's never just a medium player. He's either confident, smurfing on everyone, or he's just fucking terrible. He's even said it himself in an interview. He's like, when I am bad, I am really fucking bad. So, I just don't see where they have the firepower. I mean, Dayor had an okay split. Like, I think that for a rookie, for what he was thrown into, he looked like he had some good qualities. But yeah, when I look at like overall their changes, I mean, Vizicachi, he didn't look special in LFL, and now he's going to be playing in LEC. I don't know. I don't know if he was ready for LEC, if he's like back into being pro level player, or if it's just one of those things where, you know, Astralis is just taking the. I mean, I think that they're just rolling the dice, right? They're like, this guy was once fucking great. We're just hoping that he could be great again. It's like if somebody picked up Soaz right now, where it's like their career, like even regardless of what's happening now, their career is at such a fucking high level that we're gonna just gamble on the chance that ends up happening. Because I mean, at this point, what does Astralis have to lose? I mean, they can't lose their spot, right? Like they can't get fucking relegated, so might as well just like, you can't go 10th place harder. Like, it doesn't matter if you're fucking 10th place and you're 0-18, or if you're 1-17 or some shit. They're already 3-15. Like that's the fucking bar. So maybe with this, if there's some magic there with the Kabi, Xerxes, Vizicachi, Splice 2019 Worlds roster, maybe there's some magic. They're confident. They're the boys. They you know, have really good vibes within the team. They're able to overperform. Maybe they can like peak at like an 8th place or something, but maybe a 7th place max. But I mean, I don't think that they can make playoffs. And yeah, I just don't think the team's that good.
Well, okay, you've actually at the end sort of walked them back by giving potential scenarios, and you sort of admit you don't know some of the players or how good they'll be. So to be fair, it's not as spicy a contrast now. But here's my take. When I did my power rankings, I actually put them at 8th. I put them ahead of BDS and SKI. BDS is my worst team, but we'll get to them in a minute. Basically, the reason why, though, is, remember, this is a hot take. It's not like I'm claiming to have scouted all these players. I know everyone's wrong and I'm right. Like, it's a hot take, but it's based on a bunch of narrative factors, like you say. So first of all, I will totally say, obviously, Vizicachi, if we already look at him in the RLs, he's not some monster player, but it just, again, this is somewhere where you look how long they played and how consistently good they were for how many years through all those metas. Essentially, he's someone I'll give a pass that I think they can get time to get up to speed and they can be a competent LEC player. Now, I will say, I thought White Knight was all right, so I don't necessarily know that it's an upgrade immediately, but it's a mega experienced player. As you said, by the way, 3 of these players were in a team that went to Worlds once. They were in the Spice squad. That's not irrelevant, because here's the reason why. That was the best Kobe has ever looked in his whole fucking career, mate. He looked actually, people wanted him to win the fucking MVP in that spring split, I think it was. Like, I thought that was egregious as fuck, but I get why they got tricked, because the team was set up that when they were at their best, they won those like 35-minute team fights that he was the carry of course. It looked great. Now, I don't think Kobe's some monster carry, but I do think, by the way, he's overqualified to be on Astralis. He could be, like, you're telling me Kobe couldn't be in Flackhead's spot? Do that? Of course he could. That's totally plausible. He's a mega experienced player. So I think Kobe's decent as well. The Dayor one's a bit of a reach, I will say, because I agree with you. Generally, he was one of the worst mids in the LEC, but actually, the difference is, unlike people like Nuclear In, I thought he did show signs at times. Like, he showed a couple of games where I thought, like, I can see why there actually was a little bit of hype for this guy coming into LEC. Like, some people thought he would be good, or maybe he could be like the rookie of the split or something. I can see why. So I'll give the room that potentially first split's usually going to be the roughest, in my opinion. If you are a rookie mid laner, like, you're just going to get bashed on by the best players, teams and fucking players in Europe. Like, even if you're not facing another god tier mid laner, the odds are in LEC you're playing some godlike support or jungler who's just going to be up your arse all game. So again, give him a little bit of time to breathe. And then the key thing for me are these 2 players. There's jungle and support, and the reasons why are these. I'll admit, like, I didn't watch Xerxes that much when he was in NA, because the teams he was on were fairly shit, and generally I thought he didn't do a great job there. But I also do think he also was an underrated player in LEC. Now, not totally, because at the beginning, he also got overrated in that exact same Kobe Splice team when people were telling me he was like the best jungler in Europe. He was never for 1 second in his motherfucking life the best jungler in Europe. Not least because, as far as I know, Jankos was still breathing air. So we'll just take that angle for starters. But secondly, the reason why I say he's underrated, though, is I actually think this guy, his problem is this, Dom. He just has one style of play, and when he makes it work, it's good. Like, he's actually sort of like figured out his style. His problem is, in interviews, for some reason, he never just admits this, and he talks like he's just a meta jungler doing what he can. So if he plays his style, I think he's a better player than Astralis he used to have, mate. I think he's got enough experience. He played with Vizicachi before. I think they can, essentially, the reason why I actually like this team is it's basically 3 veterans who've all played together, and who you'd give at least 2 of the 3 will probably be good, like LEC quality. And then when you look, I don't know about the Dayor guy, which is my main concern, but the Korean guy, I'll pick up on what you said at the end. This is the perfect org to gamble on an unknown, mechanically good solo queue Korean. Because think about it, right? What have they got to lose? Like you say, you're probably not going to be in playoffs. You're not going to the Worlds. Forget about all that. So at this point, I actually think what you're going to see with the Yonghong guy is if he succeeds, if he actually turns out to really be actually like mechanically really good and shows some good player, this is what I predict will happen. Just like with the ERLs, that class of Humanoid and Abadage and Larson and Nemesis, that made everyone just say, right, and if I don't have a top player, I'm going to gamble on ERLs. I predict Malrang and this player are going to make this happen in Europe now, Dom. I think it's why you're already seeing it. I think people are going to do it where if you're not the big org and you can't get the next obvious, like if no one saw Targamas in the RLs, it was just obvious this guy was going to be a top player. Like that didn't take scouting. If you just had eyes, you could see. The difference is, beyond the really extreme examples, it's really hard to pick ERL talent. So I think there's a world where some of these guys on the smaller orgs will gamble on unknown Koreans, and one or two of them are going to be like a Malrang. They're going to turn out to actually be pretty good. So I have no idea if this guy is, just like you say, of all the orgs, this is the one to gamble on. Like this is the time you take that player and just pray you've reached into a fucking mystery box and you pull out a miracle like a Malrang. So again, I'm not saying they're good. They're not making playoffs or anything. I just don't think they're the absolute worst team, and I was surprised you put them as like instantly F tier, because to me, like, we can talk about BDS if you want me. I don't even know what that org's doing. Like, you think is that really going to fix that team? Those two moves?
Hell no, that's not going to fix that fucking team. It's
I don't get it. I don't sort of get where their hope is, dude. Like, what do you think they're pinning their hopes on that's going to work now? Because I don't look at that lineup and get inspired,
I mean, I think that they're just hoping that Agresivo is a more like complete player than Adam was, and like he's just more receptive to figuring out like what is actually like good within like top lane, where it felt like Adam was just always like posing as a top laner. Like he really just wanted to just continue playing Olaf and Rekt in every game. And they're like, hey, but like Jace is pretty good. He's like, okay, this is my Jace cosplay, and he would do like okay on it, but then he would just like he would just end up not knowing what to do past a certain point and just be useless. I mean, before we get into BDS, I kind of want to respond to a couple of the points on Astralis. So
let's do it.
For me, one of the issues is like, even if their support is mechanically good, I just don't know who's going to know what the fuck to do on this team, because Dayor clearly wasn't. The person that actually knew what to do on this team before was PromiseQ. And Xerxes showed by his time in NA, if you put Xerxes with other bad players and they don't have a fucking clue, he's not going to be the one that's going to be like...
Assuming they're going to say it'll be Vizichachi, I assume that's where they'll put, like, because didn't they try to claim he was like the shot caller or something? That's true. It's true.
Yeah, I mean, if you play top lane, it's like, okay, guys, I think that over there, the situation that I can't see, like, I'm fucking laning. I can only look at the minimap right now. I literally can't see what you guys are doing. I'm going to tell you what you guys should do. Yes. Like, that's never going to fucking work, right?
No. By the way, even when people back in the day used to say Smeb was the shot caller of Rocks Tigers, spoiler, you had fucking Prey in the bot lane, like... That's like the dream for the yeah, exactly. Like there's no way he really, like you're saying, he wasn't like Doinby watching low map while laning in top lane, was he? He was just roughly calling because he was the carry. Like it's not. Because I agree. Generally, you can't have top lane shot calls.
Like, I mean, shot calling shot calling was so much different back then. And another huge factor of that situation is it's not really like Smeb was the shot caller in terms of like I am going to be coordinating like our warding and our map movements early game. It was more like, hey, like I'm playing Kennen and I can like TP flank them here. Like go in, go in. I'm flanking. Like it's that type of shot calling. It's not the type of like we're going to like figure out how to set up the map, which obviously people are way better at that now. Like a fucking random ERL team has similar setups to like a prime season 7 team. I mean, that's just what happens when you have that much time to study and that like amount of time to just learn the game. Like everyone just improves. So there's one thing. So and for Xerxes, on the Xerxes point, for me, I think that Xerxes, I mean, he has a different style. You said that he has one style that works, but his style is essentially he can only play weird champions. Like, he can never play anything that's good unless...
like a motherfucker as well. He just does, doesn't he? He just does.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think for me, just the issue is, like, when I look at who he is as a player, it's like, unless... randomly Zach becomes fucking meta or some shit, right? Like that's like one of his champions. He plays just like a few really weird champions. Rumble Jungle, we randomly got Rumble Jungle to become meta for a little bit, so he looked good in summer, right? Nice, bro. Rumble Jungle, it could be meta. Gragas, AP Gragas, which is one of his picks actually, looks like it might be coming back. So maybe he has a couple of good games. I would predict an AP Gragas from Xerxes for Astralis. That's just my feeling. Just following his career as a player, it's always been something that he's good at, something that is now getting buffed. I've seen people play it in Champions queue, and I've heard about people playing in scrims. So I assume that he'll be one of the people that's going to be first on the pick. But I don't even know if like he has enough tricks to even allow himself to get any of these surprise games. Like, will teams just ban Gragas 1, 2, 3 against him because there's nothing else you're going to ban? Like, he's the Gragas guy, right? Gragas is back in the meta. If you have any experience that in your scrims Gragas looks good, you're just banning it against him. So for me, I just see this whole team, and like I could see them maybe being 8th if SK really shits the bed. But it looked like SK's trajectory was actually pretty positive over the last split. Like, it looked like they got a lot better. I mean, their back half was 5-4. They're one of the teams that started prepping early. So I just wouldn't bank on it. Like, I just feel like Astralis is just one of those teams that should be 10th place. And I think that what you said about Dayor just shows how fucked the org is, that they put him in that spot where, like, Dayor is probably the worst mid. Maybe he was like bottom 2 mid. Maybe you could put him above Nuclear Int, like you said. I'm fine with that. How crazy is that's his overperformance? If he's the 9th best mid, they fucked him so hard. They're like, yeah, you played like 1 split of NLC. Boom! Just put him in the fucking like LEC. Like, he's good enough. He got such a shit opportunity that him being 9th place is like an overperformance. Like, he should have been the worst mid by far. And it actually showed something that he wasn't. Overall.
Sadly, that is the org all day long, because basically, if people don't know, in CSGO, they have now done this to 3 young players. They've had 3 players. One was a guy called Bobski, then there was the player Yoki. They've now got a player Farley. They're going to do the same thing to all 3. Basically, they've just thrown these guys in who aren't like quite top quality material, or don't give them the playing time, and just ruin their careers. So unfortunately, like, that's the thing in general I hate about Astralis, the org. It's why I say in past labs I never cared about them at all. Every past lineup for the last like year and a half has just been LEC rejects. They just pick up people who are like decent in ARLs, LEC rejects. It's almost like they bank on them having some name value and pop them in the team. Like, that's the one angle I notice. Here's the difference though, why they have a chance. Notice you didn't say it, but Zanzaro was way better and he was doing it's like, mate, he wasn't even that great himself. He was just a fucking mean money. He was all right. He was all right.
No, he wasn't all right. In my opinion, he was bad. He was just he was the worst player in LEC.
Oh, I mean, he's not good. He's just all right, is what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, exactly. No, I know what you mean. I'm saying he's not even all right. He's just, like, actually bad. Like, he is a negative to have on your team. If you pick Zanzara, like, he's one of those players, you're like, oh, if you put Kabi in a really good team, he could, like, probably exist there.
Yeah.
I think Zanzara, if you put him in a good team, will literally, like, solo lose your team the game.
Okay.
Like, I think that he will just make sure that
I definitely never saw the height. Aside from listen, I get that he had a cool personality and he was sort of funny for a Russian guy, but, like, that ain't enough for me. I need something in the server as well, guys. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I said something on Twitter, like, during the last split, where if you only read Reddit comments, you wouldn't be able to tell if Zanzara is a better player than Upset. I thought that was so crazy.
Yeah, that's mental. Yeah.
People talk well about Zanzara like all the time. They're like, dude, what a great person. But it's like, I mean, at some point, like, we're playing a competitive game. And, like, you could be a great person. Like, whenever I say a player is bad, I never think that they're a fucking bad person. Unless they're like Reginald or something. Like, that's completely different.
And it doesn't even connect anyway. Like, a spoiler, I follow the NFL, mate. Do you know how many fucking rape charges and, like, criminal things people are getting? And, mate, it doesn't stop them being, like, fucking all-elephant receiver or whatever. Like, they're still sick at the game.
Yeah, of course. But no one is watching, like Dion, like, no one's watching fucking Ray Rice, like, clobber his girlfriend in an elevator and be like, yeah, I don't think he's that good of a running back anymore. It's like, dude, it's a completely different thing. Like, I think Zanzara is a great person. I think he's a good personality to have around, but, like, he just doesn't meet the minimum skill requirement that you need to be in an LEC team, even a bad team. Like, he literally he's just not good enough. Like, I would have been fine if they hung on to Promise Q and tried Xerxes. I think I would probably be higher on this roster, but I just feel like they just don't have, like, direction. They don't have mechanics.
There's also how Reddit narratives work, Dom. This is how Reddit has no eye test at all. The last split, which they all think is their success because they got fucking Promiscu fired finally. They only want him fired now, not because he's even shit, just because he flamed those people, because he flamed the Bouth FFS. Like, you idiots have no eye test. He was actually good in that split. He actually did some really good games, didn't he? He had some games where, as you say, he was basically like the reason they won some of the matches.
Absolutely.
No, you got to give him his props. You got to give the devil his due, guys. Come on.
Oh, he was. I think he was, like, probably the best player on Astralis last split.
I think that's fair. Yeah. The problem is, like I say, he just has all the optics and all the bad PR, and he's just built a shit reputation. So, I would change your name for a third time, bro. Just change your name again, and just don't even acknowledge the other name.
I mean, you just go back to Spraddle or someone. No one even knew who the fuck you were back then, anyway. So just go back to that. But for me, like, look, you look at Promise Q. The reason why everyone hates him is because he has the personality and the ego of a really good player, but he's not that good.
Yeah.
But, like,
Agreed.
That doesn't mean that he's complete dog shit. Just because he's
No,
not
no.
likable doesn't mean he's complete dog shit. Like, he was probably like what, like the seventh, sixth best support maybe in the league. I mean, for the team that he was on and for what his expected
That's
level
legit.
of performance was,
For sure.
solid. I'll take it.
All right, let's do the BDS topic. Let's knock that one out, and then we'll do some of the other bad teams and go to the interesting ones. What about the BDS team then? Like, basically, if people don't know, I should probably say these in case people don't know. Like, they brought in Aggressivu as the top laner, replacing obviously Adam, the notorious Adam now. Spoiler: the Aggressivu guy has been in I'm pretty sure every single offseason for the last 2 years he was associated with teams attached to it. He just never got into them somehow. So I don't know what was going on. And then they got another Polish player, which is Erdot, as their support. Instead of who was playing in that position before for BDS?
For
who was their
BDS,
support? Limit. Oh, that's right. Of course, yes. Who obviously, there's another example of how Reddit works. Yes, we all know Limit a few years ago was really good. He wasn't good last split, guys. That wasn't that. I can see, unfortunately, why he lost his job. The problem I have is, like I said before, like, even if these end up being like slight upgrades positionally, I don't think this fixes the team, mate. Like, I'll just say it straight up. Because I actually, when I watch him, think that actually Synchrov's game is really good. I fucking hate those other two players. Nuclear and Xmatty make it impossible for Synchro to win a game. It's impossible. And he can do everything perfectly. And it's like, he should be your favourite player, mate, because he's the ultimate jungler. It's like, what am I supposed to do? I'm not a miracle worker. All I do is kill the jungle camps. Like, fucking hell.
I can't relate to
I can't abide with these guys, mate. I can't abide. So, like, my problem with that team is I just still don't think you got enough. You haven't got good players. You just got like 1.5 good players or something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I still have the same opinion. People are going to think because I'm friends with Crowdy, that's why I think he's better than Xmatty. It's like, no, I literally just have eyes. That is the reason why I think he's better than Xmatty. It's because my vision works. So when I watch League of Legends, like, Xmatty just doesn't have the laning. I mean,
you noticed that for some reason he seems like he has like a weird cashier with like pros and coaches though. Have you noticed that? They seem to keep implying he's not that bad. He looked terrible to me in the LEC, I've got to say.
Yeah. I don't know either. Like, when I watch him play, I mean, I think that he was, look, a lot of people just give him a pass because, I mean, he was successful in ERLs and then he played with Limit and Limit had a really fucking bad split. So they'll point to like situations where Xmatty is like being left alone by Limit and then Xmatty gets fucking killed under the turret like 2v1 or something because the support's not there, and then he'll end up behind because of that, and they'll be like, look, it's not his fault that he got behind. My problem is, even when he's ahead, like, I don't think he team fights well. I don't think he lanes well, and I don't think he team fights well. So I just don't think he has the mechanical level to compete with like the AD carries in this league. I mean, I think Flocket, it looked significantly better than him. Upset, obviously, way better than him. Neon, way better than him. Like, you just look at everyone, like Comp, way better than him. Like, I would take Carzzy over him. Like, who does he have an advantage over in this league? I would take Kabi over him.
No one.
Exactly.
Absolutely no one. Yeah.
Almost no one. Maybe Jesu. That's the only name I could throw down there that it's like, Jesu, when Jesu plays bad, is pretty bad. But who knows? This might be Jesu's meta. Kalissa's back in the meta. That's one of his picks. So who knows? For me, when I look at Xmatty, I just think he has very uninspiring, I guess is the word I would use for his performances. Like, even when he does well, I don't actually feel like he's that insane of a player. I mean, well, there was that Jinx game where he had like 7 kills. He's like 7-0. It's like, surely he'll be able to easily carry this. Then he just runs it down 3 times. They almost lose the game. For me, like, they're just one of the most frustrating teams to watch because they just look like they just don't get it. And another part of the team that kind of alarms me is normally when you have these rookie teams, you'll have like the young players be really high rated in solo queue because they'll be like making their original stand. So they'll take solo queue really serious, and they'll just want to show off their talent anywhere they can. Like, when you look at Vedia, I mean, he was just doing super well in solo queue for most of the split. LEC MVP was his username. He was actually doing super well. Like, he's trying to prove himself through all capabilities. But when I look at the like solo queue ranks, like, I don't even know if the players are individually good. Like, most of them are just GM players. Like, they're not like even challenger players. So, I mean, obviously, if they only played solo queue with their entire lives, they could be challenger, but that's not like what I'm looking for. Like, I want to see players that are just really, really confident in themselves mechanically. Like, even like the old Vitality roster had Skeens that was always doing well. And when I look at their play, it's like they don't look like they know what to do. They don't look that good mechanically, and they're not doing well in solo queue. So it's like, where is their advantage? Like, what is actually going to what is showing like, oh, this team has promise, or like they're going to be special players individually at some point. Like, I don't know.
By the way, that's also why, mate, I hate people who use, like, essentially, you know, when people just decide a narrative that wasn't based on anything. Do you remember the narrative when you heard the story initially that BDS is going to buy into LEC and they're going to get Schalke's spot? Here was the Reddit narrative. Well, they're rich, Dom. They're going to buy all the best players. Fuck, they'll probably buy, like, they haven't bought anyone. They've got what? Guys, they've put together 2 incredibly underwhelming rosters, which as far as I can tell, if you actually took away the Reddit narrative and just said, this used to be an ERL team. Yeah, no shit, it looks like an ERL team now. Like, that's the most underwhelming part. I was promised that this was going to be some team spending money and splashing it around. Mate, where are their off-season signings? Why aren't they the ones getting fucking Razork and Vethio and all these guys that were fucking potentially available? Why aren't you breaking the bank? Like, no one believes in this team, mate. They don't believe in themselves. They're garbage.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really weird too, though. Like, I can understand why people thought that. Look, if you're gonna play, if you're gonna spend 26 million on a spot or some shit just to be bottom 2, no chance there's a return on investment.
Oh, no way.
With how they're playing. Like, you look at all their socials, you look at the play. Like, they're not an inspiring team to watch.
They're not particularly popular team either. Beyond this like org itself, you know.
The most popular part about them is that they have former K Corp players, and some, like a small percentage of the former K Corp fans actually transferred over. You know, that's it. Like,
right, what about this then? Because I think we can knock SK out quickly, right? Even though I noticed you've got them a bit higher than me, like you had them on the same tier as Misfits, which I don't know about that, but I had them second and last. The reason why is this: 1, obviously I'm going with the edgy Astralis take. 2, SK just always actually mildly underwhelm me. I know I'm the opposite because everyone else is every split's like, they're just shit. Like, I actually think the problem with this team goes like this. And when I explain it this way, you'll know what I mean from like how I've modeled talk shows and all these years talking to me. But I think it'll also be a really useful way of showing why I don't think SK can ever be good. Because here's the problem, Dom. I actually think, especially as a duo, I think Gilius and Treats are mega overqualified to be on fucking SK Gaming. So if you've actually got a pretty legit jungle support and then your other laners are just like bad or average, your team has no chance, mate. You've already basically found like gold by getting those bloody supportive elements. If your players, like you were saying about BDS, if they were like what they should be in these bottom teams, like the next talents, like the up and coming players that are grinding solo queue and they've got all the mechanics done, but they just don't have the brain power, that would be the dream. You get some experienced players like this in jungle and support, and by the way, that would make you like a playoff team if those players are real. They can pilot those guys. I look at this squad; those are still the best positions, jungle and support. The other positions just aren't good enough, mate. I'm not even hating on anyone in particular. Collectively, low-key, I will hate on Jezu given the invitation. The others, I just don't think are good enough, mate. I think if they're LEC quality, they're bottom of LEC. That's all I'll say. I just don't think they're good players, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the problem. When you look at this team for SK, I think you hit the nail on the head there. They are actually more than the sum of their parts.
Yeah,
like, their strategy and their like camaraderie, their team environment, all that stuff looks pretty good. Like, that's the reason why they're literally not dead last. But pound for pound, they just can't match up with the teams above them. Like, they're literally going to have their 3 carry roles, top, mid, and bot. They're going to generally have 3 worst players every single game when they play against any of the teams above them.
Yes.
So sometimes they can, figure things out early. They seem like they have some good meta reads sometimes. I mean, obviously they had some fucking terrible drafts, but they were one of the first adopters of Hecarim. They actually picked it up pretty early. They got some free wins off that. I think they'll be decent. Like, I think that they won't be complete laughingstock here. But yeah, I expect something like, like somewhere in the like 7 to 9 win range. Like 7-8 wins is probably what I would give this team. And it's just good. I mean, I think that's honestly like the players are overperforming expectations there. It's just, you need firepower somewhere. Like, they don't have a video on their team.
No, exactly. Anyway, let's do this. I noticed earlier you alluded to this, so it sounds like we might even be on a similar page on this one. On the Vitality one, I'll give you my take and then basically you can riff on it. But because I think we might have some area where we're aligned. I just got the vibe there. Because basically my take on Vitality goes like this. It's actually not too dissimilar in some ways to what I actually said in the previous split, Dom. I think this team has the craziest volatility / variability in where they can place based on the play of the players of any team in the LEC. Like, I think there's a world, no joke, where somehow if the Haru / Bo, and it seems like Bo's the one they want to use long term, if that can work, I think there's a world where they could be like contending for the title. The problem is, if it doesn't work, I also think they could be right where they were, like the 6th best team, or maybe there's even a world where like the 5th or 6th is their best. So my main problem is this: they've gambled everything on that fucking Haru Bo move and kicking out Selfmade. So there's a world where that works, but my issue is, I still thought they had issues with some of the bot lane synergy. I don't think they've ever really made that work properly. So I just don't know if this is enough of a move, personally. Like, as much as Selfmade might have caused issues, it doesn't seem like he brings up the morale or any of that shit. I don't think this move alone does it. Like I say, there's a world where if one of them turns out to have like a Malrang split, great, then maybe we blast off to the moon and they really are contenders. But part of me feels like I can't rely on that. Like, I think it's possible, but I can't rely on it. Where are you at on him?
So look, I'm similar with Vitality. Like, I generally have the feeling that it's not going to work. But when you look at Bo as a player, like, this guy had... He
was a fucking stud for sure, yeah.
So he's had like one of the weirdest careers in esports, right?
Yeah.
Came out of nowhere. No one knew, at least in the West, no one knew who the fuck this guy was,
No
right?
one.
Like, apparently he had some hype from like streaming in China or something. No one knew who the fuck this guy was. He gets subbed because I mean, there was two issues. Tien had his physical/mental health issues, and then Beichuan like was just not performing. So he was like the third string jungler on FPX. So people are like, third string jungler, who the fuck is this guy? Comes in, he literally performed like one of the best fucking players in the entire world for 10 games. I mean, he didn't lose a game, right? Like, individual like they went 5-0 in series, they went 10-0 in game score, and he was just dumbstring everywhere. Like, it was fucking insane what this guy was doing. Up until playoffs, where I believe Karsa had one 17 kill Viego game. In his fifth game ever competitively, he set the record for kills in an LPL game with 16 kills as a jungler for jungle kills in an LPL game. He got 16. The game was 23 minutes long. He had 16 kills in 23 minutes. What the fuck is that? Like, that, this is absurd. That is an absurd amount of kills. Like, he was just dicking everyone. And the thing that looked so interesting about his plays, it actually just looked like he could play everything. Like, he was bouncing back between all the picks. So he played Talia. He was really good at Talia. Then he played Olaf. And so it's like you have the mage pick. Then you have the bruiser pick. He was really good at the bruiser pick. Then he had like the skill, like invade, like constant fighting champion in Italy. Looked really good on that. Then he had to play the ganker in Pantheon. And he looked really fucking good on that. Then he played Lilia, which was like fringe. Some people played it. The general win rate was really bad. But like some people were playing it in LPL. It generally had a little bit of a higher win rate in LPL. And he played that and he looked good. He literally just looked good on like every single style of pick, where normally when you see a jungler come in that's like looking promising, they'll be good at like one specific style, and over time they'll branch out. Like, for example, look at Synchro, right? Synchro came into LEC. He looked good, but he looked like he was really good at that, like knowing where to be on the map, like ganking the correct lanes at the right time, knowing when to do objectives. It just looked like he had like the brain. He didn't have like too much of the hands, but he had like the brain, and he could fit enough champions into his like, intelligent, cerebral play style that he could be effective. So Xin Zhao, Jarvan, those types of picks, right? This guy looked like he was smart, also mechanically good, also could like frontline, also could do like damage and play a carry role within the team. And like, dude, he became the star on a team with fucking Doinby on it. Like, he was the star of that team for the time that he played. And then he just got banned and we haven't seen him in a year and a half. That's his career. So you saw 10 games. He looked like he had one of the most crazy trajectories of all time. And then he just doesn't play for a year and a half. I don't know how you're supposed to rate this guy, but if he's anything like that, even if he's like...
Give him a try, yeah, exactly. You've got to gamble on him, come on.
If he's anything like that, like, he could be so...
Because the point you're making that's key that people don't get is the banned part. Is because, and remember, they're an honor-based culture. Like, in theory, you're not getting second chances if you match fix and stuff like that in Asia. The reason why that's so key, Dom, is because when the fuck do you ever get a chance to get a player like that in a Western team? And in this team, like, sure, Vitality's supposed to be good, but like, they haven't been great in the playoffs. Like, the idea that something like that's even available is mental. Like, 100% you gamble on him. But this pivots, though, into a classic topic on this show, but I want to have it again, because let's be real, this is why I've been saying for the last year, since he was in the Fnatic team that started breaking down, one day Selfmade will be thought of as the fucking forgiven of the jungle role, because he will always be remembered as he had a talent, and in the right sort of team maybe he works, but the problem becomes, just like forgiven, when you cause so many issues in your teams, whether you're the main cause or not, you're just causing some issues. When you keep getting kicked, the problem becomes, when I try to make that argument, like, but if you build a team around them, eventually it becomes, can anyone even build a team around you, bro? Like, eventually it looks like you just can't play with anyone, or you can only play your style, and it has to be everything catered to you. Because I have to say this, if I was fucking Selfmade, here's why. This isn't, by the way, some cool thing of like, they just let me go and they were going to try something else. Bro, they've recruited a guy who was literally banned for a form of cheating, including financial cheating, and who probably doesn't speak fucking English, and it's the LEC. Bro, that's actually a slap in your face. That isn't like, well, he's just better than me. Bro, he probably doesn't speak English. Like, they're essentially saying, give me a guy who's also mechanically good, but can't even speak to me, and that's better than that fucking Polish jungler I just had. Like, mate, how many of these great players have to play with a player like him before he gets it? They say one thing to your face, bro, and they say other things privately about you. They don't all love you and think you're a great player. Think how many great players he's had around him now, Dom, in the solo lanes and his teams generally. He's had an amazing caster talent the last 2 years. And it's like, if after that they all, because here's the spoiler, it's like the LS Cloud9 thing. They're not going to say it publicly because they're your friends, but privately, you know this. In Cloud9, almost everyone wanted LS out, and no one wanted him in the team. Like, they all mutinied against him. It's like that in these self-made squads. They all start out the same way. It's like the Boango. They all just go, you know what, you got to gamble on self-made. Think how sick he was at this period or in this meta. Like, if I get that guy, I win LEC. And the problem is they're all left at the end going, well, I didn't win LEC, get rid of him actually. So I think it's sad, because the sad thing about him is this, Dom. He clearly has talent. He can clearly always be an LEC player if he has his head together. But this is the last saloon for him, mate. Like, who's going to pick him up now? Surely, isn't he going to be on bloody Astralis next split or something? Like, what's going on with his career? It's just fucking tanked.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's an interesting situation, because I don't think that he's necessarily like as destructive in a team environment as.
No, I wouldn't. By the way, Forgiven was the worst I've ever heard of. I would never imply that, but like I say, he always seems to be one of the factors, if you know what I mean.
I think the issue is that for him is when Vitality, at least my interpretation, is that it's not even that much like attitude based. I think it's mainly just skill based. I think that in this team with like all this talent, you need somebody who has the quality of a dog jungler, not a lion pretending to be a dog. You need to have somebody that's at least like part dog in them, where they can just go full Yankos if they need to and just enable the lanes. Like, you need somebody that's going to be like, yo, Perks, like, I believe in you to carry this fucking game. I'm going to go just full like vision control, gank your lane, push at it out when you need timing, do objectives on spawn. Like, you need somebody like that. Selfmade got better at that over the course of the split. I think that he made strides towards that. But it's just one of those things where I don't think he'll ever be like a truly great, supportive, like tank vision control jungler. I just don't think it's inherent to his style. So I think the issue then becomes that Selfmade's one of those players where not only do you need to like build the team around him, like to have a lot of success, you also need to just get lucky with the patches. Like, if you get that one fucking patch in the game where you've got a lot of skill expression, like mechanics-based junglers, he can be just the best jungler in LEC again, without a doubt. You know, like if it becomes a Kiana patch, it's doomed for other LEC junglers. Like, Jaegos is not being better than Selfmade on a Kiana patch. I just don't believe it. But
I mean, go on, son.
For me, it's too risky. You know, like, those situations don't come about often enough.
Oh, you can't reliably build on that blueprint. No, I know. But here's what I would say as a counterpoint. Now, let me push back a second. Here's what I would say. I don't mean attitude, by the way, as in he's just intolerable. It's not like the Forgiven case in that one. But every team he's in does seem to have like some sort of discord, some sort of communication issues. Magically is the word always thrown around. And then here's my biggest gripe against him as a player, Dom. I'll use what you said about Promiscu. It's a similar scenario. He has the attitude and swagger of a goat jungler. Dude, he has the attitude Jankos should reliably have in public, like justifiably rather. As in, like, he talks as though he's the god jungler. Like, you even saw it in the playoffs. He was like trying to banter people and allude to like who's bad and who's good and what does scrims mean and stuff. It's like, bro, you don't have any time for that. Get your game in order. Because my problem with him is this: the way his skill set looks and his ego is. You should be telling me at all times what you want to do in the game. You should know. You're the god jungler, remember? You're the fucking sick player. So, like, the idea that player can ever be sort of like, I don't really play these champs guys, or like, I don't really know what to do in the game. That doesn't vibe with that you can't have that attitude, because I'll tell you what, the difference is this. That's one thing Forgiven always had, by the way. Forgiven always knew how you should play through him. That's one thing that was never disputable. He'll always have an explanation of why you had to play through this champion in this way, let him get to this item, get to that point. What I don't like about Selfmade is, like, you haven't earned your ego. You haven't actually been as great. Like, by the way, I know everyone's now going to go, did Forgiven ever win? He was on way worse teams than Selfmade, for fuck's sake. Like, Selfmade's actually underwhelmed me in his career. I think it should have been a lot better.
I think that Selfmade has a personality that rubs people the wrong way, but I don't think it's like as deeply rooted as like Promiscu's ego. Like, I mean, even in my interactions with Selfmade, like, Selfmade's the type of guy where he'll like come at you like pretty hard, but then like, if you can just get past that, if you don't like let his initial words to a conversation completely like shut you down, where you're like, oh my god, I don't want to even engage with this. This is just uncomfortable. Like he's the type of guy that will come up to like to me, and like the first thing he'll say is like something like just like super disrespectful, like you're fucking old and washed up, and like you're a fucking dead streamer and all that shit. And like if you don't take that to heart, and then you're like, all right, so like let's talk about this situation.
Some of it's a bit of a front, right? It's just banter.
It is a front. He has like a really hard front, but you like if you get through that, he's actually a receptive. So I'm not okay. I don't think he's irredeemable. I think he just needs to be in the right environment, and he needs to be with like, dude, I would want to pair him with other Eastern European players that literally can take that more often. You know, like I think that he would be perfect with somebody like Humanoid, for example, where like, you know, like he would be receptive to it, and I don't think Humanoid would back down and be like, what'd you say to me? Well, I don't care what you said to me. This is what I want you to do. And I think that you could get through to Selfmade. It's just that a lot of people in esports, especially like young players, it's like off-putting, you know? It's like, it's tough to get through. So I don't think he's irredeemable. I do think he does need to get better at some of the styles that he's worse at. And I think that there are just like holes in his game. But look, if I was a GM, right, and I was like on a Misfits or something, I would pick him up. I would want to see how he played with my stars. I mean, even though you don't necessarily have all the Eastern European players there, I mean, just that type of team is what I'm saying. Like if I was in a place where, you know, I probably don't have much to gain, much to lose, kind of like how Vitality was last year where they picked him up originally. I think that that's the perfect type of team for him. Because if you get that right patch, I think that he almost needs to restart the career and have his SK phase again, where he's just like the best player, one of the best junglers in the league on like a bad team, and then like prove that he's better at the other stuff, and then he can get another shot into a good team. But I don't think he's done.
Okay. Right, we've got 3 teams left. It's XL, Mad, and Misfits. And spoiler, the reason I left them till now is because they're not the most edgy hot takes. They're just right in the middle of the table. These are basically people that we all have as like playoff teams, / borderline playoffs, / they're not going to win the league, are they? They're just in that position where they're going to make playoffs but not win. So, like, which of the 3 do you think's most interesting to start with? Which one do you want to, who's the spiciest one for you, Dom?
Mad Lions, for sure.
Okay, let's do it then. So obviously, if people don't know, they did make a roster move. They brought in Niski, replacing Rika, who was the rookie, and that's it. They've just done that move. That's enough for you? That makes them... I mean, you had them as... you had as your 4th best team, so that's an upgrade to you. It's going to make them a actually potential Worlds contender.
Yep. I think that's all they need. Like, I think that Niski was essentially Humanoid light for most of last year. But I mean, you got to remember, Humanoid was in God mode. I had Niski in the second... I had Niski as the 2nd best mid laner overall. I mean, I think if Caps like is playing on for him, and you know, in certain metas, I think Larson can be better. I just think Niski knows how to fucking operate within a team, and I think he's exactly what they need in that team. They need a mid laner that knows what he's fucking doing. They don't want to be teaching a mid laner how to fucking play. They need them to have their own idea, and they just need that like little bit of push towards like the plays that they're making, and somebody to maybe even call off some of the bad plays that Kaiser and Elyoya were making. I mean, I still think Elyoya is super fucking good. I think he's one of the best junglers in Europe when he's on form. And, you know, I think this takes a little bit of the pressure off him so that he can actually focus more on himself, and he doesn't have to like be this like mega leader, because I think that was almost overhyped when there was Humanoid within the team. It wasn't that Yoya had to shot call the whole game alone. Like, he had direction and other points, and especially in mid to late game, that's normally where junglers like knowledge and understanding of the game will fall off, just because of the nature of the role, not being able to accurately judge how strong people are, not having complete information of how side lanes should work and when they can collapse and how many waves they need to push and where vision needs to be set up. That's generally the deficiency that junglers have. I see Niski coming in and, you know, being able to correct a lot of that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I think that they're going to be good. Like, I don't think that they're just going to be middle of the pack, like 6th, 7th. I think that they'll be 4th. I think that they'll be competing to potentially go to Worlds. So I think that he's literally exactly what they need. And also, I've just always thought that Niski was a really fucking good player. I mean, I just think he's perpetually underrated. Every single team he comes into, people think he's going to do worse than he did. Like, just look at his career.
That's true. Yeah, it's true.
When he went to Splice from Envy, people were like,
oh, everyone was flaming the fuck out of him, yeah.
Then when he went to Cloud9, people were like, this guy, we got rid of Jensen to get this guy. It's fucked. It's fucked. Yep. I hate this team. Then he went to Fnatic. That was the worst one.
Yeah, that was supposed to fail completely, yeah.
People were like, well, how are you going to fucking win if you're Fnatic? How are you going to beat G2 with Caps when you just got fucking Niski? Like, how is he going to fucking work? And then he just ends up like beating Caps in a best of 5, goes to Worlds instead of Caps. Like, people just are, whatever. Caps is still better. He just had a bad split, you know?
Yeah.
This guy is perpetually underrated. What does this guy need to fucking do? Like during his time, what do you want from a player that is in contract prison and has to take a fucking split off? What do you want from him? He literally got rank 1 in solo queue. Like, isn't that what the player is supposed to do? It's like, shit, I'm not able to fucking play right now because I'm legitimately just in contract prison. I'm gonna play solo queue. I'm not gonna fuck around and play solo queue and stream and fucking master games or some shit. No. He got rank 1 EU West. He's like, I'm going to show that I'm still mechanically one of the best players in this region. He's gonna fucking I believe in him. I always believe in Niski. Like, I just think that he's just proven himself to be good every single opportunity he's had. Every single team he's on, he's outperformed expectations. I expect it again. So when I think about that, and then I compare, like, I think about Elyoya and Kaiser and how good they can be. I think Unforgiven had a good rookie split. I don't think Reeker was bad, but I mean, he's just not Niski. Like, Niski is a top mid. He's a top European mid. So that's what I'm expecting. Top 3, top 4 mid laner.
I definitely, like, you definitely have a little bit more of a favorite. You definitely like Niski a bit more than I do, but I'll say as well, sure. I definitely agree. He was underrated in his career, especially when he did the roster moves. Like, essentially, here's the contrast I would give, which is going to trigger people just because of who the player is now. But think historically, I think he's like the EU Poor Belter dude. Because every fucking team Poor Belter ever played on, people just kept going like, well, he's not good enough. He always was domestically, every fucking time. How many times? By the way, that guy's taken something like 3 different orgs to the LCS finals. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, yes, he's not going to the problem these players have is this: they don't have the crazy eye test. They're not going to like leap off the page like, wow, who's that guy? Like, it's not like Koreans are looking up Niski and Paul Belter VODs like, oh, what's this guy doing? Like, they don't know these guys exist. But domestically, these guys are always money. So yeah, I think this will definitely be a level up. Like, I was actually way more critical of Rika than it seems like other people were. Spoiler, if you're going to be people who are like, give him a chance, he's actually good, well then you have to actually fucking stay with him, don't you? You can't just kick him out the team. You obviously didn't believe in him. I don't care what you say, I care what you do, you fucking fakes.
Yeah, sure.
So if they do this move, by the way, here's the thing though, Dom, they are absolutely, by making this move, they're actually putting all of their other moves in question, because here's the problem. I actually had them similar to you. I actually have them as my 5th team, but spoiler, XL's my 4th team, so that's fucking like, you pick 1A, 1B on that one. Like, I'm not saying one's better than the other, but my problem is this: a lot of what we're all basing this off, I'm basing off it as well, is we're all making a massive assumption in terms of fucking Elyoya and Kaiser, which is, we're going to grant you, because of how good you were that one year, that it was about not having a humanoid. But if you guys still have any of those same flaws with Niski, who's definitely going to be better than Rika, you have to pay the fucking price for this next split. This one has to be on you guys. Because I actually think, by the way, I think in the end, I already thought, by the way, spoiler, Mad Lions already could have made playoffs last split. I even thought Unforgiven had a monster first half of the split, looked really good. So the main person, though, I think actually who's under fire right now, Dom,
Armut.
The name I haven't mentioned exactly, because I'll tell you what's going to happen. If they don't do well this split, like say they don't make Worlds, they're not that relevant, dude, he's the guy who has to go. Like, it's not funny. He's reached wonder status. It's not funny that you only play meme champions. You have to actually be good at the game. And in this team right now, like, Niski himself isn't caps. Like, Unforgiven's pretty good. Mate, you're going to have to do some heavy lifting. You're going to have to win some games. You can't just chill anymore on the old one with the fucking humanoid and laugh as you win the game. You're going to have to actually be a good player to make it now. And I'm kind of a bit out on him, mate. I think he's had his time, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Armut is a confusing player, but the one quality that keeps me in his corner is the fact that he's always better when it matters the most.
Okay, that's a good quality.
Career,
yeah.
Like when he played in finals in spring, when he played in playoffs in summer, when he played at Worlds, like in those biggest games, like when he's playing the decider versus LNG, he's getting fucking ganked. He's getting inted. Elyoya's having a terrible game in that game versus LNG. He's running it down in his lane. Like the jungler just comes top, ints his lane, fucking kills, and he's just still winning the lane versus Ale. Versus a fucking Kennen, bro. Like while getting counterpicked. It seems like he's a big game player. He just didn't get to play in fucking big games because they didn't even make playoffs. Okay. I think he's not going to look great. I think you need to get him into playoffs. But, you know, once everyone's nervous, once, you know, everything's on the line, I think that he generally shows up better than expected. Which I vibe with that a lot. It's similar to what I said about Flockett. Like, because Flockett's biggest thing was always his laning, right? People were like, this guy is fucking shit in lane. And it wasn't that he was magically, like, insane in lane in playoffs. I mean, they did win some games, but I put that more on, like, them having good, like, bot lane combos, them understanding Xayah Renata and stuff before.
They definitely played to the bot lane as well. Yankles all the time, yeah.
Yeah, but even, like, 2v2, I felt like they just understood the meta better than some bot lanes. But Flockett was a little bit better than everyone expected in lane, to like maybe even a lot better than people expected in lane, depending on how low you were. I feel that same thing about Armut, where like he'll step up when the time comes. Like, I believe in him to step up. You just got to get him there. So I think that Niski just covers a lot of their bases, and as soon as they get into playoffs, I'm expecting Armut to actually show up, you know? And then also, look, it's your fucking meta. Aatrox is back in the meta. Wukong just got buffed. I know a lot of people aren't going to play top because it's so broken jungle, but you can flex it now, and I think it's one thing that I want to see Mad Lions doing in this coming week. Flex the Wukong. Why not? Other teams you're gonna pick it. Other teams are gonna pick Viego. Slam a counter to Viego. Go Wukong Kindred or some shit with like an AP mid laner and just really try to like use the draft to your advantage. Gnar is back. People are playing Gnar again. Like, you have his champion pool being relevant right now. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not gonna say that they're gonna make Worlds, but I think that they'll be on the cusp. I think that there's a chance they make it, depending on how hard Rogue chokes. But I would say that they probably do well, but just not well enough to make Worlds. But I mean, how banger would it be if they made Worlds over somebody like G2? Like, that would just completely, like, people's minds would fucking explode. I don't think it's that crazy for that situation to occur. Like, I don't think Mad Lions is close to as bad as people think.
No,
Horrible split.
Dude, the sad thing to me, this is why I put so much of it on Rika. You notice I never said it. That's Rika's like the shittest mid laner. He's just inting every game. The problem was, it was who he was replacing. Those were just two enormous shoes. Because I actually think the saddest part about that split, because they didn't make playoffs, is Unforgiven never got his fucking props, mate. That guy was way better than people would have thought. Like, as a rookie, he was a pretty legit player. He had a bunch of massive carry games. His champion pool was really nice early on. Like, he actually looked very good, I thought, mate. I thought he was, like, the joke is, as much as people now, because of Rika move, will maybe question the Mad Lions stuff, I think the pickup of Unforgiven was a good one. They did some good scouting there.
Yeah.
It's a quality side.
Yeah, I think he's solid, and I think that it was more of the angle that they wanted from Carzzy, right? Like, they didn't want the super volatile AD carry anymore.
Yes.
They wanted the one that was, like, more disciplined, that you could put resources into, and you could generally rely on them using those resources well. So I think even implies
they scout well, because as you say, as they've done with Armut, then fucking Elliot, they scout for what they need apparently in this team. I actually respect the approach, you know?
Yeah, I mean, look, they did fucking poorly last split, undeniably. But I mean, I think that they also, like, it's not like they just showed that the last fucking 8 fucking pickups, or I mean, I guess it was like 4 or 5 pickups, were all shit. Like, they have generally good scouting. If you hit five hits and 1 miss out of 6 players that you're scouting from fucking ERLs,
that's epic.
Damn.
Yeah, that's epic.
That's an insane rate of.
I can totally admit this. If you asked me, sure, I'm not in the same position they are with the same access they do, but if you asked me, just pick randomly 5 or 6 people from the RLs who should be really good, dude, I don't think I would get 5 out of 6. It's really hard. I think it's really hard to judge how good. Like, the amount of players I've seen, I say this all the time about junglers, the amount of players I see who smurf in the RLs, then they come into the fucking LEC and you're like, why is this guy even in the LEC? He's garbage. Yeah, it's mental.
I think it's even deeper than that, because it's not like they're just like getting to pick from like the pick of the litter, the absolute top of the RLs, like the players that they didn't get to just be like, oh, Targamas looks fucking good. Like, let's just take Targamas.
Yes.
Like, no, those are the players that are going to G2 and teams like that.
Yeah.
So they had to pick from like the middle of the pack. It's like, oh, this is like a Prime League team. Do they even win? Like, I don't even know if fucking Shadow and Kaiser's teams like even were winning domestically. Like, those teams might not even been the top team, and then they're picking from like not even a top ERL, like a mid ERL, and then not even a top team in that mid ERL, like a high tier team in that mid ERL. So I think that their scouting is actually really insane, and I don't even think that they proved anything by, like, people are like, oh, well, it just shows that they didn't think Rika was going to be good because they gave up on him. I don't think that's the case either necessarily. Like, I mean, they just had the opportunity to get fucking Niski. Like, it's not like they went for like a player. It's not like they fucking replaced him with Nuke Duck or something. They didn't go for like a mid. They went for a player that was top 2 mid laner in LEC last year, and the only person that was better than him was the guy that literally was on their team. That's a fucking insane player, and he's somebody who fits their style really well. When you looked at them win all those games towards the end, where they were like running TF every game, well, now they just got the best TF player in Europe. So I don't know. When I'm looking at this, I think that the team is actually set up for success. I think they'll surprise people.
What's great is, I'm sure, like, if this was a few months ago, Humanoid would be like, excuse me, the best TF player, fuck you. Actually do it in the playoffs, you cocksucker. We all saw that. You know, it was all captured in 4K HD. We can go watch the VODs now. It's like watching the fucking Kennedy assassination. You can't. What were you doing on that, champion? That was so outrageous. Anyway, I can knock the XL one out the park quickly. I think people might get this by now on these shows. I'm slightly biased towards XL because I like Young Buck's career. I think he's done a very interesting job. I think quite frankly, I think I think he generally makes his rosters overperform. I don't think these players are as sick on paper as people make out. Like, look how many times they were borderline players. Now they've been in the playoffs. Spoiler, in the playoffs, there's absolutely a world they win that 5th game against Vitality and are playing for the 5th and 4th spot. Like, I don't really know even how good they are. I think they might even be able to make Misfits. So, fuck it. There's a world where it's not impossible. They could have been a 3rd or 4th best team. So, even though it's tenuous how I'm picking them now, the reasons why are obvious. They haven't made any changes. They've kept all the strengths of the team before. I actually think Marcoon has been making slight and gradual improvements. I think generally the team's great. Even though we criticised the manner he came into the team, actually Mickey X has turned out to be one of the best plug and play fucking players in years. You just plug him in, he does exactly what you want. It's like in England, we used to have this saying about this product. I know it's a weird one because it was actually varnish for wood, but the saying went, it does exactly what it says on the tin. If you got a tin of Mickey X, it would go quiet player who engages on fucking engaged supports. Bingo, we got him. We got our team fighting support guys. We nailed it. We got exactly what we needed from the shop. So with the team, basically, here's the key premise. My narrative is like this. You know, our last split, the narrative was this. Young Buck, this is your last chance, mate. If you don't make playoffs with this team, wrap it up. It ain't happening for you. Now it's the same narrative, but one stage higher. If you think about the discussions we had on this show, even G2's like right there for the taking. Dude, I'm not saying this is a mega roster. This isn't some like god roster. Certainly, he'd get like, put it this way, Young Buck will get like coach of the split fucking nominations if he finishes top 3 or something. But I actually think this is the time where he can contend to potentially go to Worlds. That's not outside the realm of possibility with this lineup. So I actually want to see how they played out. They've had this same lineup all this time now. They've even got the upgrade of Mickey X. Everyone's experienced / played enough splits. It's time we could judge them properly. Now it's time to shit or get off the pot. Come 4th or 3rd and potentially go to Worlds and actually do something, basically. I think this is the split.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they can do it. I don't think that
probably
they have
not,
the
if we're being real. If we're being real, I know. I'd like them to, but probably not if we're being real.
I mean, I can't see it. You know, like with Mad Lions, I could see it. Can you actually see Nuke Duck going to Worlds from Europe in 2022?
The problem I have, mate, is this. They also have a problem, a bit like what I said earlier about... listen, that's a problem in itself, but they have a problem like I was talking about. Let me think. Who was I was comparing them to? Was I talking about Rogue when I said this? Basically, the problem I have with this team as well is I actually think this is another team that's more than the sum of their parts. It's a good squad. Like the actual squad fits together well. My problem is this. I don't actually think any of their laners are like pop-off players that are going to take over the game. So that is hard. It's hard to go to Worlds and be really good in playoffs without those, I will say. Basically, they're banking on their whole team being really good as far as I can tell at once, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
They don't have a Vetio. They don't have some guy who's going to be the MVP.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're like, even if they get, I think I had them 6th. I think if they get 6th, I think that's fine. Like with this roster, I don't think you realistically should be much higher than that. I mean, if they end up outperforming Vitality or Mad Lions, I think that they've done really well. I think that on paper their roster is worse, and it's one of those things where it's like your
I'd
best
agree.
player.
I think that, by the way, I would agree. Both those teams have better rosters. I'm just gambling that they're gonna have weaknesses, basically. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's just one of those issues where it's like your best player is your support. That'll only take you so far. As we saw in T1's case, you can be the best team in Korea, 18-0, just shitting on everyone. But if your best players your support, and you start playing against some really good teams where they have better mid laners, better junglers, they got Xiaohu to your faker, they've got Wei to your owner. Oh shit, game becomes a lot harder, a lot quicker. So I don't know. I'm just not completely with it. I think that XL they just have their best play. I mean, I think Marcoon is also really good. I just don't think they have strong enough solo laners to actually go to Worlds.
That's why the killer for me is this, Dom. There's one narrative no one else will bring up because they just forget. Believe it or not, just having a good memory in esports, because everything happens so much info every day. It just helped. Like the angle everyone's forgotten to talk about is this. Do you remember what the mid-season hype was? The mid-season hype was Fethio is definitely getting sold by fucking Misfits. The question is, where does he go? Does he go to? Could be an XL. There was even rumors maybe he's on the table for one of the big dogs to take as the player. Like the fact that didn't happen, that's the killer for me. Because if they could have done that, if they pulled off that move and they got Vetio, now we're cooking with gas, mate. That would be a very interesting fucking summer split lineup. You know, I would love to see that play out, just as an experiment.
I mean, we hinted about it on the talk show. There's 2 teams that were in talks for Niski this offseason.
Yes, and that would be another interesting pickup, right? Wouldn't you like that one?
And it was XL and Mad Lions, and XL just didn't have the money. Straight up, that was the reason why he didn't go to XL. They just weren't able to give him a competitive offer. Like there was a chance that from Niski's perspective, he would have played with a team like XL. It's not like when you look at the 2 rosters, especially when the El Yoya move wasn't locked in, that changed things. It's like Niski going to Mad Lions if they don't even have a fucking jungler and they're just gonna have to pick up like a random ERL jungler or something like that. Or like maybe it'll be Razork, but who knows? Like if he's gonna even play. If that was the decision, I think that you could have had a different solution. But I think that XL just doesn't have. They're like a small market team in basketball. It's the same type of idea where they're limited. You know, like they're never gonna win a title, or like in my opinion, they're never gonna go to Worlds until they actually like get some serious investment from somewhere else, or they just get massively lucky. Like they just from their fucking system, they have the next video pop up. You know, which I don't really see happening. I mean, they got pretty lucky with Marcoon, and I mean, I thought Advian as well, but obviously Mickey X is better. I don't see it happening. Like they just need better mid, better top. That's it.
I'll even throw this out there because obviously people will know one thing that people might say I'm biased to in League of Legends history is obviously I love hard carry ADCs, Double Lift, Forgiven, etc. But one thing I'll say is this, I think actually Patrick's career and upsets validate my theory that of all the carry roles in the game, ADC is probably the worst to have like a god tier player at and then everyone else be average. Because you see in this squad, mate, like Upset can't just win the title by himself, even if he's the best. Patrick does what he can, mate, but he can't just like 1v9 these games. Like maybe the odd Jinx game he could, or a Zeri game, but like he can't do it for all series. He showed you that even in the bloody playoffs. Like the problem they have is I do think Patrick is actually a really good player. So it's like ADC ain't the role to have the fucking sick player at, unfortunately, on his own, you know?
Yeah.
Just in it.
I mean, I've never been as high as other people on Patrick. Like he's always seemed to be slightly overhyped to me. I just don't see him like, I mean, if he was really fucking good, if he was like, in my mind, upset tier, maybe I could see this team doing something. But it's like, I think he's maybe like a 4th, 5th best AD carry in the region.
Yeah.
Something like that. And then you just run into the same problem where I think Finn is a liability. I think Nuktuk is a liability. Maybe they can get it together on certain picks, but it just didn't seem like it was all there to me. So yeah, I have them 6th. And then I guess that leads our last team, which we didn't talk about.
I'll say, by the way, if anyone's noticing, because this is like, I've observed it myself, so I'll say it for you guys. I did conveniently hype up XL without ever mentioning Finn at all, because low-key, I do sort of hate that player. Like, I'll give him props. He had a decent split last split, and he actually showed me a little bit more than I expected. He wasn't just a Kled one trick anymore, but I will say, he's the one I have the most concerns about in the XL bit. Like, he's the one who can easily shit the bed for me and just ruin the whole split. Easily, unfortunately. I'd even say I don't even know if the fucking meta fits him now. Isn't he going to have some issues potentially? Seems like it, right? So. Be logical. Okay, so as you say, the last team's Misfits. Give me your take first, then, because I noticed, like I said, it seems like we're both pretty low on this team actually. But go on, give me why. Remember, this is the team that had the reigning MVP. Why are you down on this squad?
Well, I mean, their jungler's a Lee Sin, one trick, and Lee Sin is like one of the worst junglers in the entire game. So I think that's a big issue.
There's a player that got overrated last split, mate. Zlatan, come on.
Yeah.
Why were people putting him like one of the best junglers? What?
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it. I think that it's pretty easy to figure out what Misfits is at this point in time, and I don't see them being able to be carried by video that hard. I mean, even in playoffs, like they just got dicked in playoffs. That was the most fraudulent 4th seed ever. I think they were the worst team in playoffs. I think they were actually like the 6th.
They were
the 6th place team. But I mean, obviously, they, like with the bracket, they didn't actually have to compete. So they can just get 3-0, 3-0. All right, cool. We showed up. Or I guess they won one game against Rogue, but it was like a fucking I mean,
tenuous as fuck. Yeah.
It's one of those series where they technically the team won a game, but it doesn't feel close. It never felt like, oh shit.
It's like you say, I always forget they won a game and think they just got 3-0'd in my mind because they basically may as well have been 3-0'd.
I mean, look, if Larson just didn't Larson play Kaisa mid in that fucking game?
Yes,
that was the
one. Which even looked like they were just doing that to test the draft or something, didn't they? That looked like a no respect game. It was like, fuck it, just do whatever we want now. We're gonna win it.
It's like, oh, give me Kai's. Oh, that's pretty fucked up. All right, my bad. Give me a 0. Let's win this one. Like, let's not lose to Misfits, guys. Let's be serious now. I don't care about this team. I mean, I care about Video. I think Neon, like when you look at how they performed, you're in a meta where I just don't think it's gonna suit them either. Like they don't have those hard carry 80 carries. Now I don't know how good their top laner is gonna be because obviously here it was the big issue on this roster before, and now they have Irrelevant. I saw that guy in ERLs. I wasn't impressed, but honestly,
that name is cursed as fuck, mate. That name is cursed as fuck. It's like I said this about tactical, motherfucker. How are you going to be an ADC player, an int, and call yourself tactical? Like you're just begging the universe to fuck you up the arse. So the same thing, Dom. If you're a player that no one really gives a fuck about who plays top lane, don't call yourself irrelevant. Like, come on. Yeah, you have to be like faker level to overcome names like that. Like you can't do it as a shitter. Like, come on. Give me a break.
Yeah. No, irrelevant is
I know.
It's rough. It's like Lost. It's like Lost for.
That's another good one, I know, isn't it?
TSM lost, Golden Guardians lost, IMT lost. I mean, yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's almost like everyone loses with you, mate. Exactly. That's the joke. Boom, boom. There you go.
God damn. I mean, look, here it was a big issue. Maybe this solves it because this guy should be better than Here It. I don't think it's going to make a difference. Like, to me, essentially, you have like 3 players that have not shown to me that they can actually be solid. And you have 1 player, like 1.5 players, I guess, that are good. Like I think Neon is meta dependent, but he's pretty solid. I think Vetio is like legit as fuck, but you just need more help than that. So I think it's just a waiting room. And now I think we're starting to go into the phase where you have to start talking about Misfits. What do they actually need to do to win a title? Like what is they're moving in reality, like they have Vetio, but they are wasting Vetio right now if they keep all putting rosters like this together. They need to like actually break the bank and like get him like 2-3 pieces and really show that they believe in him, you know?
By the way, that I'll take your final point there. Let's start there. Let's continue that point. That's what shows that Misfits are actually in deep shit right now, Dom, as opposed to like last year, things were looking good after summer, you built up the roster. The reason they're in deep shit right now is one, this is where you know people aren't real fans, they just follow hype trains. Nobody even cares that Here It's gone. Motherfucker, this was the guy last year. Everyone after Vetio was mega hyping that he was going to be like a next top player. And he's not even there anymore. He's just gone and everyone's fine that he's been replaced by an ERL player who's good. Not amazing, good. Like, that's crazy because he was a win condition for them. Not last split, obviously, he was terrible. But in the past, when they were good, he was one of the reasons why. It was him and Vetio largely, right? Obviously, Razok was very good when they used to have him too, right? The fact that he's gone, already that takes out, like, look, he wasn't doing it in last split, but that takes out one of your better conditions. The premise was there was another Korean player with great mechanics that you'd found, and somehow you've got him into Europe and he's on your team instead of in Korea. That was a great narrative. Doesn't matter anymore. Then you've got to add this in as well. This is what kills the Misfits org. The question you just asked. Essentially, I'll reframe it like this, Dom, and it'll sound really bad as a question. If you have the reigning MVP, not only that, an MVP who had a really impressive pop-off split, and it's going to take probably 3 other roster moves to make you win LEC, your team's just shit. You just happen to be lucky you have the MVP. And spoiler, this is the last split you'll have the MVP, mate. Like, you're lucky you didn't sell him because this is going to be the end. Like, how's he going to be here next year if he's good? He's too good for Misfits. Like, by the way, if I'm any of these squads, XL, fucking, depending on what happens with him, if Vitality end up not with perks, I'm going immediately for this guy. Mad Lions again, no one should think about it. These are the teams like this. This is the joke is, like you said about there, like how many would you need? He's the last part you put on another squad that completes your team and just takes you to the top. Like, yeah. And then also on the Vetio angle, I'm just going to say this because I've seen too many years of League of Legends to miss this. It's not that he's as bad as he was in the playoffs. Yeah, he looked underwhelming there. But I also don't think he can be as good as he was last split. Like, I think there was almost like a surprise factor. Like, he carried too hard, dude. He even carried some games he should have lost. Like, realistically, even if he's really good, he's going to be like 90% of what he was last split. So you're not going to have as many hard carry. Like, remember, he won something meant like 12 games almost himself. Like, I've never seen anyone do that, mate, in a bad team. So, like, I'm not hating on him when I say maybe he wins 8 games himself this time. So already that's going to make you, like we're talking about, barely a playoff team. Then add in, like you said, Neon's just probably not going to have, like, games where he just gets jinx and carries the whole game, is he? Like, people kind of have figured out there's a player you ban out as well. And the last thing I'll say is this. I actually low-key, this is just a pleb fucking layman take, but I think it's just something to it. I actually sort of thought, Dom, that the playoffs kind of showed how you beat Misfits. It's that you can actually give Vetio his carry champs, just don't let them make the right comp. Just break the comp and it's over. Because on his own, he's not actually only 1v9. He also does need some setup from the team. It's not pure 1v9. So I think you can sort of like, it's basically you can do like, you know, in the NBA, the old classic strategy. If a team has like a Kobe Bryant, but the rest of the team shit, you just let him get his 40 points and you win the game. He gets 40, so he goes, well, I had a great game. And then you win 100-90 and you go, who gives a fuck? That's what you can do against Misfits, in my opinion. Like, the sad thing is, for all we know, Vetio might again be really sick, but they might not even be in the bloody cloudy playoffs. I think that's a real possibility. I'm with you. I have them 7th on my power ranking, so I have them missing playoffs, I'm afraid.
Same. I have them 7th as well, and I think that it's even deeper than that. It's not really even like you can give Vetio his carry champions. I think that they just realized that the other players on Misfits are so useless if you don't give them their like couple champions that they're good on, that you don't even care.
Yes.
And even if the champion's bad enough, you can just counterpick it. Like it doesn't matter how good Shlatan is at least, and if you counterpick it hard enough, which is what people were doing, they're picking Viego into it and all this other stuff, he's not going to be able to carry the game. So people just realize that it's like really the team is not threatening. The main problems were, don't give them Jinx, and don't let him get a fucking really good Lee Sin game, and don't let Vetio get some mega counterpick, and you're good. Like that's literally what
you've also, by the way, on this team got so little like real experience from being a top player. It's mental, mate. There's nothing. Fuck off. Like the most experienced player technically is like Neon, right? Like what? You only came in the LEC a couple of years ago. Like what? A year and a half ago. This ain't enough, boys. Come on. Yeah. I have to say, the Misfits one's tough for me because they're a team on the last 2 splits I was giving sort of some credit to in terms of the scouting. I know they're also in a tough spot. Like an XL, they can't just go and get all the best players. I get it. But I actually do feel like this squad's regressed. And I actually think the sad thing is, mate, it's going to be worse than the discussion about who do you add. Because like I say, if Vetio really leaves at the end of the year, what the fuck do they even have, Dom? They're going to be a bottom feeder. Like, they're not going to replace him with an equal player. Like, it's going to be really dark if they don't do something this split.
I mean,
probably even if they do, who cares, right?
I think that's like the trajectory that we're ending up here. Like, this is where, like, if you're Misfits, you have one of 2 options. Either you're like trying to sell your spot and you're just going full Astralis. Let's just fucking hang on to this shit and hopefully it's worth more in the future. You either go that angle or you like have to actually be like, this is our time. This is our title run. We did our rebuilding phase. Out of our rebuilding phase, we got, maybe you just got like a stable AD carry in Neon, a really superstar tier mid laner, and you have like a support that has potential to be decent in Mersa, and then you like deck out this roster. I mean, this is why I said that I'd be fine with like something like Selfmade on this roster. If you get Selfmade in a really good top, at least then you have that potential. But they don't have the firepower right now from other positions. Like, there's no threat that Shlatan just fucking pops off and is the best jungler in LEC. Like, at least for me. I mean, maybe he ends up doing it and he proves me wrong, but I wouldn't expect that. I wouldn't bank on that. It doesn't seem like that's in his DNA. Like, you already saw in the first split that Selfmade played what type of player he was going to be. I think Shlotten's going to be, like, if I were to guess, I would assume that he would end up regressing and being one of the worst junglers in, one of the worst junglers in LEC this split. That's what I would say.
One other thing I'll throw in there as well, because I did it to Vitality last split, so I'm going to do it to the Misfits team this split. Another factor I'm going to say is this. We all forget this because no one knows what coaches do. If you go and look, Dom, at where teams placed in LEC last split, all the big name coaches get it done pretty much. Like, the problem here is this. People act like with coaches, you can just throw rookies in there all the time as well. Like, I don't know these guys. Who is Carter? Who is Mephisto? Like, I know the names, but I don't see them on shows. They're not people who have, like, prominent vision of the game and philosophy. No one knows these guys. I don't know who they are. So I have to say as well, if you're some of these squads, I hope you also think about spending money and going for coaches like you would talents. Like, if I'm some of these teams, like, yeah, sure, not everyone has the money, but if ever they're available, you need to break the bank when you hear the Peter Dons and the Max of the world are available, mate. These are the coaches you want on your team. Because the problem I see with some of these squads is when you have like good players or like good up and coming players, who's going to guide them? Who's going to work with them? Who's been there before? You know what I mean? Like, if you look at the top LEC teams right now, they have coaches like Dylan Falco, Yamato Cannon, Freddie Woodson. These have been the best coaches of the last 2 or 3 years, guys. Like, you've got to get better people in there. Like, the irony is this. When I look at the squads they've got now, I wish fucking Grabs was on one of these teams. Well, wasting his time on fucking BDS, just praying that all the players get magically better. Like, put him on one of these squads, let him go to work.
I feel bad for Grabs because I feel like he's getting like the like reality check now where, you know, like he knows so much about the game. Obviously, like, what people don't understand is that Grabs doesn't need to be a fucking genius in his own right to be super fucking useful. The fact that he was on those teams and he was a participant in those conversations with Caps and Perks and Yankos and some of the absolute best minds that Europe has had about the game. Like, you just literally learn so much from those players. The problem is, like, I mean, you can't, like, dude, it didn't look like Adam learned anything through the whole split, realistically. You looked at when were you able to be like, see, now he's got it. Now he knows how to side lane. Like, you can find those moments with other players. Like, you can see like, oh shit, it clicked. Like, they understand it now. You could see it in Kaiser. You could see it in Shadow in their first splits. You're like, oh shit, they're learning. They used to not be able to do this. Now they can mid-jungle roam together. Now they're warding in better spots. Now they understand flanking better. Like they made these adjustments. Like some players just don't get it. You can tell them everything, but if they just don't have the vision for the game, and they don't have the experience, and they're not actually able to comprehend what you're saying and apply it, it's worthless to be a coach in this game. So yeah, I mean, I think that it would be a lot better if he was playing with players that actually had more of like a knack for that improvement. And when I look at BDS, I don't see that. When I look at Misfits, like when I see the Mercy guy and I hear him talk, I don't know why, but I just feel like he would be receptive to feedback, criticism, like, and he would improve on it quickly. He just has that type, like, just from his interviews, it seems like he has that analytical mind where he's trying to figure out how to be better. And he is like, it's about your effort and your mentality towards improvement that, I mean, I think he's been able to show, but yeah, I mean, I just don't see it from the BDS players. So yeah, I think I agree with you too that Grabs is wasting his time over in BDS, and I do wish that he was with a team that was slightly better. I mean, I don't want to see him with a top team because I feel like for his career, it's best for him to prove himself. You know, like he already had that experience. I mean, if he's just on the top teams getting carried by his players, as everyone likes to say, then he'll never be able to actually differentiate his value as a coach from other coaches. But, you know, if he's with a team that is, you know, XL tier, you know, vitality tier, then he can really show what he's worth.
I even got the vibe when I listened to interviews and him talking about the BDS team over the split that, like, as you say, it was the reality check. Like, I know he didn't think he had like perks and caps again, but I got the vibe, if you listen to how he talks, like he thought he could set up like bigger scale things, like the general way we're going to play the game. And he thought like, right, well, this guy, I can trust him to take care of how he learns. It's like, no, you can't, bro. These are inexperienced players. Some of these are rookies. Like some of these guys just aren't good. Like at the end of the day. So like, sadly, I think this project was way more of a fucking like enormous overhaul thing than it looked like. I think he thought he was walking in with a few rookies. You bish bash bosh. You put in a nice style. They perform a little bit better. Suddenly they're a playoff team. Like sadly not. Sadly that is not the case. Right? Obviously, normally I'll come with a really straight fire outro. This is the end of the episode. Goodbye.